episode, it would be fascinating. I can't say I'm surprised because I knew in my heart of hearts that this would happen. And yet that doesn't make it any less riveting to watch this meltdown in action. Yesterday, I uploaded a video called The Most Unhinged Haters on Reddit. And it was all about the Travis and Taylor subreddit, a toxic wasteland, honestly. There's no better term for it. And today, I wake up and find that I am now the top post on the Travis and Taylor subreddit. And as you can imagine, they had a lot to say. And I think most of it's pretty dumb, but kind of funny. So let's just look at it. But first, welcome. My name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of underwater Sudoku solutions, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself, talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, we dive headfirst once more into the Travis and Taylor subreddit, except this time we're talking about me. And also everybody who commented on my video, because those guys were not happy with your comments. So if you're here and you did not watch the original video, honestly, I would suggest checking it out so you can see what I said. But here it is in all its glory. And really, my thesis across this 23-minute video was quite simple. While there is a portion of Taylor Swift's fan base that attempts to shut down criticism of her, I am actually all for discourse criticizing billionaires. I don't really listen to her music, and even if I did, she's not above reproach. However, the Travis and Taylor subreddit is a snark subreddit, and so I found that the tone of the post there focused more on talking about everything from criticizing the way her face looks to the most outlandish rumors and speculation, like the idea that she's basically sedating her boyfriend via alcohol and ruining his football performance. You know, saying stuff like that. And they do all of this while having this encyclopedic knowledge of Miss Swift that not even I could match, even if I was a Swiftie. Seems like a good time to point out, I think this is a great video. I love it. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm not taking back anything I said in it. And so what I would really like to highlight is, out of the thousands of people who have commented on it, everybody sort of seemed to get the point. Personally, I strongly dislike Ariana Grande. Would I ever go to a hate subreddit and talk about how much I hate her all day? No, because that's weird. Snark pages are just the flip side of parasocial relationships. That level of obsession can either make you fawn over someone or know so much it fuels your hatred of them. Like, this was a very uncomplicated video, honestly. I actually think this person may have said it the best. I'm always baffled how no one can criticize Taylor Swift correctly. Like, the woman is probably the easiest low-hanging fruit to critique and criticize, yet every time her name leaves someone's mouth, there's always some weird tacked-on misogyny at the end about how she dates too much or isn't pretty or can't actually sing, etc. That's what my video was about. Not me being offended at online discourse about Taylor that wasn't 100% positive. Me being shook at how unhinged this particular genre of discourse is. Besides those posts, I would also like to point out people were verifying what I said in the video. This person says they check the subreddit once a week. Something about reading irrational posts is beyond entertaining. This person said they are actually part of the subreddit. They joined because they wanted to criticize her. And then the sub started to get more snarky. The snarkiness went past, oh, there they are again, to Taylor is disgusting. Taylor should be banned. Taylor is sabotaging other pop girls' careers. And this person brings up Mean Girls again. That sub has become nothing but bullying and frivolous and childish complaining. They've become just as obsessed and hating her. Okay, so I think you guys get the point. I know it's a very common YouTube genre to take a community that is a little bit weird and flatten it so that it looks super weird and present it to viewers as a super weird thing just so you can get a video. But that wasn't what I did. That wasn't my intention. I don't have to do that to get entertaining content, because as you're going to see, the sub is plenty entertaining as it is. All right. So in a post titled simply, which has now been locked, this is just a screenshot of my video. Got 5,000 uploads, a few hundred comments, and this person was quick with it too. Not even 10 minutes before Travis and Taylor became aware of this one. You can also see right under there is a post called, so you guys must have seen the YouTube video about us. There's an additional 100 comments there. So yeah, I think it's safe to say this was yesterday's topic of discussion for the subreddit. Happy to oblige. So here we go. Blocked posts, new comments cannot be posted. So one of the top comments is from a moderator who actually says, I like how every receipt D'Angelo pulled up was the softest thing ever, because we actually removed the deeply unhinged things. Yeah, if saying her face looks like a wax figure now, she looks like a flamingo in drag, and also comparing her to Donald J. Trump is the softest things ever, I don't think that's really boding well for your subreddit, but let's just see. That's the first thing I noticed. I knew I would like this sub because of how reasonable it is. I've seen some insane and outrageously cool takes. Refresh the page and it's gone. I just don't think the fact that your subreddit could possibly be even more unhinged if you let it is a good argument to indicate that the subreddit is actually reasonable.
We're taking Bravo. This was a statement from a Jewish
Bravo is
individual.
compromised.
He
Get it
left
back.
a comment.
Losing Charlie.
Being a Jew is harder
Securing objective
than I've ever
Alpha.
experienced.
Securing
I've seen this
objective
community
Bravo.
in general. The lifelong friends simply, I've lost lifelong friends
We've
simply
lost
because I'm
all
Jewish.
objectives.
Do you think that's a
Do
joke?
not
It's
let
not.
it be for
My
long.
brother is best friend. My brother is like mega liberal. Like he is like, so what he wouldn't concede is that he didn't want to destroy Israel. And one of his lifelong friends literally stopped talking to him and called him a Zionist genocide for himself. My brother. This shit is happening to every Jew across the country. And I heard you, other propaganda that is really fucked. Is this notion that like the majority of Jews are anti-Zionist and don't care about it at all, and therefore that's why not anti-Semitic. I encourage you guys to talk to your Jewish friends, talk to the Jewish people close to you, and ask them. Because 90% of Jews in America, by the definition of Muslim Catholics, would probably fall under the liberal Zionist. And they see people wishing them death all the time, social media, in real life. I have a friend who lives in
Hostiles launched a cruise missile.
somewhere, and there's like, you know, constant, there's like a static protest of just like death signs and all this kind of stuff. And he's walking outside his door, walking through that every day. And he feels,
Securing objective Bravo.
he feels some type of way.
Charlie.
I would like to break through that stigma. Genuinely ask the people in your life how they feel about the conflict. And listen to them. And I don't think it's going to line up with people like Hassan or Tony.
Bravo secure.
I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. Speaking out, I hope you guys know there's so many people who love and support you. And I look up to both of you for standing up to me during that anti-Semitic we're all facing through my career so far. Can I get some throat though?
Are held by the enemy. Securing objective Alpha.
God damn it.
Securing objective Alpha secure.
Swapping mags!
Hostile cruise missile incoming.
Grenade! Get back!
Enemy UAV active. Hostile UAV engaged. Securing objective Bravo.
Flashing coming!
Oh, that?
Hostile Guardian has been deployed. Hostiles launched a cruise missile. The enemy is gaining ground.
Oh, for real? Look at my
Enemy UAV active.
No, fuck.
Enemy taking
I'm
Bravo.
gonna fuck my throat with this, damn. I think I'm getting sicker. I feel fever. I'm getting all worked up.
Enemy securing Bravo.
Yeah, I think that just numbs your kill, right?
That's not good. Maybe it'll help me get through the end of it.
And get on your tongue.
Safe for the family,
Enemies
ages
taking
3.
Alpha.
Open up. Sunny. This seems so weird.
Taking Bravo.
Is this your thing? You do this? Oh, it tastes like hospital.
Securing
How much you
objective
spray?
Bravo.
Let me read the instructions. I never do that.
Take a spray going.
I would.
I'm not gonna read.
Light affected area 1 spray.
Enemy has captured
Bar
Bravo.
stay in place 15
Objective
seconds and
taking
spit out.
Charlie. Enemies taking
Dude,
Alpha.
I think this exact thing is happening for.
Wait, I think that's the thing. People don't know that. I think everyone swallows it.
Well, if you're gonna spray it in your throat, I don't get it how you would
Yeah,
possibly spit it
and
out.
it tastes sweet.
Charlie
They're
secure.
like-
Taking
This
Bravo.
exact thing is happening from 100%.
Check your fire. My next bullet goes through.
How do I spit that out? There's nothing left.
This is not how I
It went down my throat.
Objective Bravo secured.
Requesting recon
Formerly, it was way worse and grosser. Now it's all over my tongue and mouth. It might actually, I think it's helped. Yeah.
flash!
Hostile
Heads up!
enemy
It's
securing
medicine.
Charlie. They're taking Alpha.
This one.
Hostile SAE
We love
incoming.
medicine.
Enemy securing Bravo.
Anyway, he doesn't love fuck with medicine.
Hell no.
They're losing Charlie.
The spirit as well.
We control 2 objectives. Enemies taking Bravo.
Alright, how am I ending this? Oh yeah, I'm reading this. Alright, I'm just gonna read this
Enemies
through.
securing Bravo.
Being Jew has been harder than I've ever experienced this.
Enemies securing Charlie.
Not just in this community, but in general. I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. Speaking know that there's so many people who love and support you and who look up to both you and the same anti-Semitism well places. So let's you guys feel less alone. We do it. But it's so hard to watch. It's so hard to feel. Fortune teams have gone to complete shit. It's so scary to see. Usually the crossover between us and some influencers right now, very removed from some stuff. Nobody who isn't Jewish understands or even cares. At least that's what it feels like. And I have to agree. This is, you know, sometimes, a lot of times, how it feels. You know, when I talk about anti-Semitism, my supposed friend goes on, well, you know, that's not really a problem. It's not, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. Everybody knows that. Nobody would
Check your fire. Holding fresh mag.
I'm off X completely, but the most popular fucking account on X that I'm seeing out is just straight up Jewish conspiracy theories, just vile fucking shit. Dan Blazarian just won UFC fighter. And you can be the dumbest nobody who just posts the most god-awful anti-Zionist or just full-on Jewish conspiracy hate. And these posts are getting hundreds of thousands of likes. I know Twitter in real life, and I'm on Twitter, but it's hard not to be affected by that. And I mean, let's be real, if that was targeting whatever group you might be a part of, I don't think you'd be so quick to tell people it doesn't matter. No, there's not Bulgarian, there's another UFC guy who's like so evil. He's an ugly motherfucker. Nobody who isn't Jewish and wouldn't care that it's just for a kid. Like, I'm not speaking about Zionism, Israel, Palestine, or anything related to that. What I'm speaking about is being Jewish. Every time I see TikTok, someone says they're Jewish, they're wearing Star David necklace, people just know they're Jewish, but the video has nothing to do with it. Every single comment, the Zionist, free Palestine, genocide, for a terrorist. And they're right. I challenge you to go to any fucking cult related to a Jewish person, unaffiliated with the real anyway, and read the comments. You know. I respond, this is 100%, this is 100% of the view that we all know it and we all feel it. And then she put the top by. Remember during the Stop Asian Hate campaign during COVID, how the left backed them up and everyone rallied around them, rightfully so. Of course. But I feel similar things are happening to Jews right now. And the same people who were rallying behind Stop Asian Hate are telling the Jews to shut the fuck up. And frankly, that's how I felt when Hassan made that video saying Frogan's fears are valid and Hebrews are not. And that trickles down pretty much to the whole internet. That's 19. This is 20. And this is a really good statement from an Israeli leftist. I thought this was very good. This is right on, man. This is so good. All right. As a Jew, is there even room for conversation with you people? Using the fact that subreddit is being bombarded by pro-Palestine, quote unquote, to ask this. I'm Israeli, born and raised. Grew up secular Jewish, quickly became atheist, left-wing, very active activist. Always have been from a very young age. I must say, ever since I started seeing the shit that Ethan, Eli, and Jordan, I asked myself, is there even room for us in the left-wing conversation? Israelis who want peace, who act for peace, who dedicated their lives to the cause of ending the conflict. Does anyone in the left care about this?
But really what this boils down to is a difference of opinion, though. I think it's unreasonable to post blurry photos of Taylor Swift drinking at a game and make a whole post about how there's always a drink in her hand, which you then
under the same sentiment brings up a big question. Do people who support this sort of behavior even care about the conflict's resolution? Those of you who read all this, who aren't radical but do not understand why anti-Zionism ideology, such as the one that's being employed against Ethan, Don't you see that's generalizing as any Israeli right-winger who voted and supports for our godforsaken government with the sentiment of fuck Hamas, fuck Gaza? Like what about the constant streams of many videos and photos of 400,000 plus civilians demonstrating in Tel Aviv across the country for a ceasefire? What about the 2 years leading up to October 7th where Israel was in constant government limbo because half the country keeps voting to have a Nazi in charge? Sound familiar, America? Good point. And half the country sees his win as the end of their lives and they know it, which literally did happen for a lot of people. Sometimes it felt and still does, as if we are on the verge of a civil war. Does all that count to you people demonizing Zionists, or do you just want to watch the videos that enforce your hatred? I wrote this in a comment and responded with similar what about? What about everything that's happening in Gaza or has been happening in Palestine since the foundation of Israel and the heinous that happening in Southern Gaza? I say we should talk about all that. You know where we talk about it? In the fucking demonstrations in Israel, where we demonstrate against our government, screaming our lungs out, getting beaten by police, lighting fires, block roads, and spend every day of the last year plus. If you read about it, you'll see the demonstrations have been going non-stop for more than 3 years, and honestly fighting with more and more of our loved ones in order to say, this needs to stop now. Sorry, my throat is just... I think it made it work. As a bystander with his feet on the ground, I can say, from my viewpoint, nothing radicalized the Israeli public more than the inability of the American and global left to include any fucking Israelis in the left conversation. This is a point that I'm so glad is being brought up. Like, did you see this stuff? It's
use as discourse about how you think she and her boyfriend can't stand each other when they're not drinking, and I guess the people here don't think that's unreasonable. And that's okay. Anyway, that's the unreasonable angle. I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind. And I do think the world will continue spinning. I think the next argument I saw a lot was I didn't put enough effort into this video. This person even says they like me, but this was a miss and super low effort. So, I mean, if I could direct you to my YouTube channel, you may notice my channel description is and has been an indicator that I'm not really putting much effort into these videos. These are not video essays. I think if I made a video essay about the Travis and Taylor subreddit, I would expect a lot more from it, but I am posting 30 videos a month. Effort doesn't really equal value. I just have fun and put it up. Anyway, even in this post, you do have people saying that I've been downvoted into oblivion here for saying I disagree with certain opinions and talking about how some of the quote-unquote bad things about her are rooted in misogyny. I want to be critical of her and have a place to talk about my criticisms in a fair and logical way. In my experience, this isn't the place to do it. This is a popular opinion. It's not really a case of me trying to convince people of something that isn't true. Somebody said, LMAO, what's wrong? We aren't allowed to hate on a fake relationship. And to this, I would just say, you are just as much allowed to hate on a fake relationship as I am allowed to say that's a weird thing to do with your time and digital footprint. But okay, this person said, why didn't he review the top posts of all time? Just the hot ones from the last 24 hours. Low effort. Exactly. You'd think he would, since that's a much easier way to get an insight of the subreddit, but I guess not. Now listen to it. I think most of the people I'm reacting to spend a bit too much time on Reddit to pretend like they don't know how Reddit works. The top posts of all time on the subreddit usually get there because they wind up outside of your subreddit. You can go to reddit.com/r/all, and if something gets enough upvotes on Reddit, it's gonna wind up on this page where literally anyone can see it. That's not an indicator of what people are doing on the subreddit from day to day, and that is what my video was about. I can sort them by all time, and it looks like your top post is about Taylor Swift's jet usage in 2023. I think like Taylor Swift private jet is the one thing almost everybody knows about her. The second post of all time, I guess, is like live mic feed footage from Taylor. Billie Eilish officially dethroned Taylor. Truly, none of this has anything to do with what I said in my video. I had the posts sorted by hot, so that means what you guys are talking about right now. Look, you guys are talking about me. I'm not one of the top posts of all time, and yet there's a conversation here to be had. He's just trying to pander to as many people as possible while claiming altruism. Easy take to get a ton of support, money, and views. I'm gonna be honest, if this was about pandering, I would have just said, Taylor Swift has done nothing wrong, guys. There's a whole lot of people out there who would love to come to my comment section and agree with me that Taylor's the victim here, but that's not what my video was about, actually. I missed D'Angelo's deep dive videos on problematic YouTubers like Shane. Someone said, I think he said in the previous video he's going to be videos on his other channel once they're finished. See, this is a nice comment. I like this comment. Also, the fact that this has 1,000 upvotes is so funny. Why are so many people here familiar with me? Anyway, all this to say, I miss my deep dive videos too. I really do. I have to be in the right headspace to make good long-form content. It takes a lot to make a good long video, and sometimes I don't have a lot. But this time around, instead of disappearing, I wanted to see if I could still say something.
I don't know what the solution for the war is. I'm not a professional in any area that would have any weight in these matters, as I am sure much of us Sans community is insane. This advocating, I'm always open to learning more. I feel we part community who think their way is the only way, and then should degrade anyone who doesn't think the same. It's a shame because I've learned so much from watching Hassan, but I can't take the hate anymore. So, I mean, I heard that Hassan mods implemented a no more Ethan post. I mean, for the past year, since October 7th, the subreddit has been essentially a second smart subreddit, just dedicated to excessively hating me for everything I do. I don't know if you guys have been there, but so they've enacted a no Ethan a rule, unless it's like directly related to a song or something like that, which is probably a good step towards trying to prevent the non-stop harassment that I get from these maniacs in his audience. You know, and even as I type this to you guys now, should I mention the thing that we talked about before the show, like the? I think I should. Unrelated to the song.
Swapping mags.
Be advised, UAV is exiting the AO.
Yeah, so there's something really disgusting happening right now, and I have zero recourse. Okay, on the Snark subreddit, the top post right now is dedicated to identifying and harassing non-public Teddy Fresh employees. It's on the front page. It has lots of upload, and it's being seen by the mods. And every time we report a post like this, we get punished. Which, once again, we have no recourse. Like, this is not okay what's happening. The reason I bring it up is because in the comments, it's all like, do these people know they work for Zionists? How do these people work for Zionists? And that's part of the reason they're being targeted and part of the harassment they're receiving. So, like, this whole thing is connected. The whole snark, the snark page that's blown up since October 7th, people really didn't give a fuck that much about it before then. But now it's like this vibrant community of people that are obsessed with Zionism for some reason, and a lot comes back to that. I don't know how Reddit allows this. I really don't. It's fucking sickening. Let me show you. I'll even say it, fuck
Watch
it.
your fire.
There is one admin called Quiet Fairy, okay, who has blocked us, punished us, and stopped us at every turn to try
They will not surprise me again.
To try to stem the flow. My brain is fried. To try to stem the flow of non-stop terms violating harassment. And we're at a dead end. We're completely powerless to these people.
The mission is complete. Good
They can
work.
talk about whatever they're showing this, but wait, this guy's still on Twitter? Oh, he responds and says he doesn't need to. That's great. Super believe you. I guess just link it to me. I don't need to fucking browse this shithole. It's in the doc.
Rat hole.
You can talk louder. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. It's pinned at the top of their subreddit? Oh my god. Oh, so it's even worse than I thought. It's pinned. So the mods No, it's not.
I can't find it. I saw it before the show.
Oh, they erased it? Yeah. We reported it and we were trying to contact someone at Reddit, and we were trying our best because like our employees at Teddy Fresh who are non-public do not fucking deserve to deal with these types of people. It's just, so maybe someone got to them, I don't know, but Snark Docs Backup, what is this, love?
It's a PDF of the whole page. I said it before the show.
Oh, nice. So they're calling out by name. I don't want to show his name. They're calling out by name, linking his Pinterest, accusing him of plagiarism, which is dumb and stupid. Obviously, this is her favorite thing. And linking directly how to harass
something. And so I think for me, this channel is just me just trying to say things. That's why I made a separate channel. I would never put this content on my long form channel. But yeah, all this to say, I take my deep dive content very, very seriously. I shouldn't, because they're just MP4 files on the internet, but it's also been my entire 20s, and so it means a lot. But anyway, enough comments about me. We are here to talk about our queen, Taylor Swift, who obviously can do no wrong. This person said, I'm sure most of the comments entail how we are misogynistic bully.
Operatives, secure and we're taking Alpha. We control Alpha.
A bad mood, chat.
We have taken the lead. We're losing Charlie.
Real
We're
bad
taking
mood.
Bravo.
Stupid fucking shit.
We control Bravo.
Are we good? Okay. Over it, man. Just over it. Over everything right now. Tired of everything.
Who don't understand the struggle this billionaire faces on the daily. I mean, Taylor Swift is perfect. What the hell is wrong with us? No. It's just not correct. That's not what the comment section looks like on my video. You can right now, without skipping any comments, just look at my top comments, which are indicative of what people are actually upvoting. And I really don't see any crocodile tears over Taylor Swift's billionaire status. Also, look, you want to see something really funny? This person says, the ironic thing is that according to a poll here, the majority of people here used to be Swifties. I said this verbatim in my video. It was something I realized as I was making it. It's not ironic at all. I mean, you have other people saying him thinking that most of us have always been Taylor Swift haters just shows that he's barely done any research. That's not what I think. Did y'all watch the video? Did you do your research? This person said, dude had some good takes. Guess it's time for a terrible one now. I'm sorry. You're just not going to convince me that my video had it.
one or not, if I should die or if I should live. You guys tell me what's Zionism, and then we can decide if I deserve to be spiked to death up the asshole through the mouth.
A terrible take. I can have terrible takes. I'm a person. I'm a human being who updates their opinion in real time. But me thinking that the Travis and Taylor subreddit is unhinged because I was able to just look at your top posts for the day and see people upvoting baseless speculation about addictions that she may have, along with everything else I mentioned in the video. That's not a bad take. Again, this seems like a case where we're gonna have to agree to disagree. I kind of feel like the only way you could see that being a terrible take is if you're kind of terminally online. I hate to say it. I think criticizing people who criticize you and trying to write them off as terminally online is usually pretty lame, but hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. Looking from the outside in, your subreddit looks crazy, y'all. I honestly did you a favor. I could have made it look a lot worse, but I tried to just go post by post and be even keeled. You have an image problem and you don't see it because you are lost in the sauce. You got people in this thread saying the weirdest thing I encounter is the whole Taylor Swift is a cokehead conspiracy theory series. Plural. This pops up in your subreddit. This reaction is sending me because on the one hand, it is very strongly alleging that I have misrepresented the subreddit by cherry picking. But then it's also saying I didn't really put any effort into this video at all. I don't think all of these things can be true. And like many things, like Taylor Swift discourse itself, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Forgive me for thinking I shouldn't have to write a video essay to say that your subreddit is weird. I don't think I should have to sit down, do a full day of research, really stack posts against each other and like feed them into an algorithm and analyze them for weirdness. Guys, y'all are weird. This is my opinion, which I voiced in my space. Not on your subreddit, by the way. I would like to point that out. And so just my video was fair game and these comments are fair game. That's the way I see it. D'Angelo has some good videos, but the way he's smug AF has rubbed me the wrong way, even in videos where I agree with him. Smug, having or showing an excessive pride in oneself or one's achievements. I'll try to achieve less for you. Hopefully that'll make things easier to watch. Also, D'Angelo should check out the Ariana sub or the Meghan Markle or the Baldwin one if they want the most unhinged haters on Reddit. This person brings up the Timothy Chalamet subreddit. And the funny thing is, I did talk about this. I don't think this is the only place where people do this. This is just the biggest place I've seen people do this, and so I find it interesting. Anyway, don't think I'm just gonna sit here and catch all the smoke, because I told y'all they were mad at you too. Besides some commenters not even looking at my comments, and then just assuming all of my commenters were delusional Swift defenders, the very top comment on this with 3,000 likes is actually a screenshot of a comment from my video, and this person said, I'm the head mod on the normal Taylor Swift subreddit, and the subscribers from the Snark subreddit give us so much trouble. And this person said, interesting, considering most of the people brigading us come from their sub. And then there's this whole discourse about like Taylor Swift subreddit users versus Travis and Taylor subreddit users, which is incredible. And let me tell you this, those are the sort of things I make long form deep dive videos into. Subreddit, moderator, gladiator fights, sign me up. I'll talk about that I'll do all the research I have to. I'll do interviews. Anyway, when you get past the top, the comments start getting repetitive. Oh, we're famous guys. He could have done more research than scrolling through 5 posts and calling them obsessed. He clearly hasn't seen other Snark subs. They can be brutally unhinged. So funnily enough, these people are kind of contradicting themselves too, because you have this person saying, he says, I understand the fascination. This just seems like a lot of energy. Says the dude who meticulously dug through a Reddit he's not interested in, took screenshots, wrote up a commentary, filmed and edited a 23-minute video, and then uploaded it to YouTube. I mean, again, did I do all that? Or did I just make a low effort post, which wound up making you all look bad? It doesn't seem like anyone can agree. I am fascinated with how my video has become Schrodinger's video, which can either be as elaborate and calculated as you want it to be, or like just baseless trash. People are allowed to snark on subreddits. So weird for someone to stalk this Reddit and snark on people snarking. He acts like he's so morally superior, yet he's literally doing the same thing as us snarking. No, the funny thing is, if I was doing the same thing as you, I would have made a video like, hey guys, I found this subreddit where I think the people there are literally alcoholics. They must all just have terrible relationships, and they clearly never interact with people in a normal way, which is why they're incapable of believing that Taylor Swift could possibly be in a real relationship. And also, I don't even know how they have all the energy to post this online. There must be some assistance, if you know what I mean. Mimics. doing coke. I don't know how to do coke, but you get my point. And then here's the kicker. If I did all that in a video, and then I did it again tomorrow, and then I did it again the day after, and then I did it, that is what I was pointing out. Y'all ain't finna sit here and put this on me. They not like us, okay? Oh God, he made a video on us. Go back to calling out actual problematic people like CoD, Jake Paul, etc., and not people who actually criticize Taylor for valid reasons. This seems like a good time to establish a bit of a boundary. My channel has my name on it, and I can talk about whatever I want. I don't actually exist solely to validate your negative opinions about everybody, while never having the space to voice any opinions of my own. My content is and has always been just me sharing my opinion. I see this a lot, this energy of like, why are you talking about this? Because I can? What do you mean? People upload videos about Minecraft and Roblox. This entire channel is dedicated to like, I don't know, Eurovision. I just saw a Eurovision Song Contest channel and it was amazing. So all this to say, I don't have a moral responsibility to only talk about problematic things. Because what kind of messed up existence would that even be? Like, y'all gotta listen to some of the things you're saying. I am a real person. Then again, if you could identify the people you're talking about as real people, I don't think we would have this subreddit in the first place. This comment said, one of the comments is, D'Angelo looks like he cries to Evermore, and it got me laughing so hard at work. Wait, actually, this person has edited their comment 25 times. Oh my God. Okay, you could have made a video yourself at this point. I don't even think I can respond to all of this. Y'all are not even gave sus allegations today. Let me just tell you that right now. And much like you're allowed to write a multi-paragraph comment in response to my video, I was allowed to make my video in response to the subreddit, and the subreddit was allowed to exist in response to Taylor, and the whole digital sphere will continue spinning. Anyways, you get down far enough and it becomes really clear that the people responding didn't actually watch the video. Please like me, Swifties. Please, please, please. I'm a Swiftie too. And then you even have people saying he said in the video he doesn't care about her or her music. He made valid critiques of her. And this person said he's getting views from fans and haters. Engagement is engagement. This is a quick cash grab. I find it so funny that when like I do my job, it's a cash grab. But when other people do their jobs, it's called working. I woke up and I went to work, y'all. I get paid to do this because I'm very fortunate. I've worked hard at it for a long time and I'm lucky. I would almost understand this subreddit a little more if the people here did get paid, but y'all are doing this for free actually. And in some ways, that's kind of the best thing Taylor Swift could ever ask for. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to respond to it. Well, as a quick cash grab, obviously, but then also just because you have people saying he chose sides based on what would get him more likes, full stop. He completely cherry picked, said we didn't do research, and then talked trash about us knowing too much. And he didn't do his own research about why some of the things that we say may look surface level, but actually have a deeper meaning. This kid dresses like the granddad from the Boondocks. And just like that, I think I might have finally found my Halloween costume for this year. He low-key drippy, like stay mad, honestly. Anyway, I already know the subreddit's gonna do one of two things. They're either going to ban any future posts or interactions about me, because I mean the subreddit is not about me, it's about Taylor Swift. But if they don't go down that route, I'm pretty sure they're just going to do the exact same thing they were doing in that thread and basically say, even now I am sitting here trying to make them look unhinged and terrible, and I'm cherry picking, and I'm too much, I care too much, right? I'm sure any comment I skipped, they're gonna be like, well, why didn't he react to that one? You can already see it here. This person said, I don't got 25 minutes to get him up, so he didn't watch the video. But I bet he didn't mention how after Vienna, this was the only sub that showed empathy to the fans that lost a considerable amount of money and time. And like, A, I don't know what they're referring to, and B, this wasn't left out of the video to make any of you look worse. This person is actually pulling a Swiftie right now. What about all these good things that Taylor Swift does? She donates all this money. Her music saved my life. Multiple things can be true at once. And so really, instead of falling for this Mr. Beast type strategy where you list all the good things you've ever done because you feel a bit bothered that I criticized you, I'm just going to say, I don't care. It doesn't affect my point. I was right. Sorry. I'm not wrong for seeing something I think is wrong and calling it out. There's no moral obligation to make important YouTube videos. You can't just focus on the silly subreddit for a few minutes and then move on with your life. And preemptively, I made this video solely because I think it's entertaining. Sometimes there's going to be big stories that everyone's talking about where I get to really lock in. And other times I'm like, you know what would be so funny if I went to the Travis and Taylor subreddit? And today I was like, you know what would be so funny? if I went to the Travis and Taylor subreddit. But that's my take on the situation. Dave's take is that he has actually changed sides, and he is now a Swiftie certified, so he doesn't like me or the Travis and Taylor subreddit. Personally, I feel like he's pandering, but it is what it is. And I'm of course excited to hear your take. I mean, this is the part of the video where a layman would ask you to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment, but I will ask you to enroll, evaluate the video, and submit your feedback. Because I am of course running a 100% completely, totally, all the way, okay, maybe not really, somewhat unaccredited university. Probably. Just ask anybody in the student body and they'll confirm it for you. We're totally legit. And as for me, whether you'll see me in 24 hours or 24 months is honestly anyone's guess, but until then, thanks for watching. Your homework for today is to forget about this. I hope this video was entertaining, but honestly, beyond that, I have nothing more to say.
Switching mags.
10 seconds remaining.
Mission failed. Return to base.
There's a sort of privilege there that I can recognize the commonality in, where I can look at that and I can be like, oh, when you're white, it's very easy to look at all the stuff and not notice the pattern that most other races get erased. Their character.
Yep.
I mean,
Fun times, white supremacist societies.
have any of the Dr. Dooms on film been Romani actually?
No. I don't think so.
I would.
I was gonna
What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got quite a big blog from Call of Duty outlining a bunch of the modes and content and various other things that we can expect for the launch of Black Ops 6. And there is some brand new information in here that we didn't know about previously, as well as it looks like at least a couple changes to some of the beta maps. So without further ado, let's just dive right into this, and we'll first just cover quickly the game modes that will be available at launch, keeping in mind, of course, more will become available as time goes on with the game. But obviously, for core game modes, we're going to have these standard modes like Team Deathmatch, Domination, Search and Destroy, Kill Confirmed, Free For All, Hardpoint, Headquarters, Kill Order, which is a new mode, but we had access to in the beta. Control is going to be in there as well. And then we've also got 2v2 gunfight, of course, and various face-off modes, which are 6v6 played on the 2v2 maps. So the very small maps, no score streaks available on these ones. And with these, we have Domination, Team Deathmatch, Kill Order, and Kill Confirmed within those face-off modes. And they also confirmed the hardcore game modes will have available at launch as well. And these are Team Deathmatch, Kill Order, Domination, Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, Kill Confirmed, Free For All, and Face-Off Mosh Pit. So you won't be able to select individual face-off modes, it looks like. It'll just be a mosh pit. Now on top of that, of course, we do have the training course, which I believe it'll be the same training course we had available in the beta build of the game on the map Protocol. And now let's talk about the firing range. They did give us a sneak peek at the firing range, as well as a couple new features that they've got here. So with this, it is going to be largely the same as the firing range that we've had access to for the past couple of years. It's just a different look to it. So by default, you have practice dummies at 10, 25, and 50 meter intervals. You can add up to 3 armor plates to them as well. You obviously have unlimited ammo. And on the top left, you have your illumination tracker and accuracy tracker. And on top of that, something new is a damage tracker that will show up there as well. So that should make damage testing easier for me. There have been issues in the past where the firing range dummies were not accurate to actual character models. And that's still going to be a concern of mine. So I think I'm at least going to start in the game doing all my testing against real character models. And then I'll try to match that up to see if those dummies end up being perfectly accurate or not. But in either case, that's one little feature that's new. Additionally, you can activate a moving target dummy or a recoil metal plate. And when it comes to that moving target dummy, they do mention that it's a dummy that'll drop down from the ceiling on a conveyor belt, and it will automatically move back and forth through the firing range. They don't mention here at any point that you can select how far that is away and make it stop at that exact range. Based on the description, it appears that's just going to be moving back and forth on its own, and you can't actually control it. I hope that's not the case. It would be nice if we could stop it at exact intervals, so we could do very detailed range testing as well. But time will tell on that one. I'm not going to hold my breath based on the description. However, we also have a recoil metal plate that can pop down, and that will be at a fixed location about 7 meters from your booth, and it will allow you to view the bullet holes as you fire your gun, so you can see what the recoil pattern will look like quite easily. So overall, definitely some nice improvements to the firing range area. One thing I'm hoping for is a bit more room to move around, especially with Omni movement in the equation. I'd like to have at least a bit more space to move my character around, but I'm not going to expect that at this point. I know they have to keep things fairly small for that, so it's got like an instant load time, but that's the firing range. Next, they talk about theater mode a little bit, and as far as we can see, it's basically just going to have the same features of theater mode in the past. So you can switch between first person, third person, and a free flying camera. Your eliminations and deaths are going to be visualized on a timeline, so you can see exactly when those take place and find your highlights a little bit quicker. And you can fast forward and rewind. It's just the theater mode that we've come to know and expect. On top of that, they did mention private matches will be there, of course, at launch. And next, they went over the launch maps for multiplayer. Now, for these, I'm not going to talk about every single one of these because we've already talked about the maps in great detail. We already have the map overviews from the past. But for the non-beta maps, at least the ones we haven't played on or seen actual gameplays on yet, I will show those because we do get some different images at least to give us a bit of a better look at various sections of the map. And with Payback here, for instance, it does appear to be quite small. Quite a bit smaller than I initially thought just seeing the images. You guys might remember I did the map size comparison, and Payback turned out to be very small with my super basic comparison of that. Keeping in mind, I wasn't super confident in the results of that. It's probably a little bit bigger than it showed up there, but still quite a small map. Then with Red Card, we can see a few different images that show off a couple areas of the map that we haven't had a good look at yet. Then with Scud, while this was a beta map, I wanted to point out it looks like the lighting is very different on this. Now, maybe they just did some post-processing with these images and their color grading was different, but I don't think that's the case. I think they actually adjusted the lighting a little bit on Scud. And if that's the case, I'm actually on board with that. I think this looks a little bit better with this style of coloring. But after that, we've got Skyline, and I wanted to pay a little bit of attention to Skyline here because they've actually made an adjustment to the map. If you pay really close attention to the bottom right of the big image there, you can see a small staircase stepping down behind the hot tub area. That staircase didn't exist in the beta build of the game, and as a result, if you're trying to capture like the B domination point, which is right in that hot tub area, there's also a hard point location in there, you really couldn't get much cover, especially from the far side of the map. Your best bet was to try to prone behind the hot tub, but then you were exposed to other angles, and it was just a really tricky area to capture. Whereas with these stairs now stepping down a little bit, you should be able to crouch behind that hot tub to get cover from the bar area, and you can potentially even stand to challenge those people, it looks like. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe this might also cut off the angle that you used to be able to get through this little slit in the wall right there toward the piano area, which I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I feel like that position is quite important to be able to challenge those people nicely as you're pushing through that side of the map, which generally that's already a not so great area to be pushing. At least that provided some way to push up there, pick those people off that were sitting behind the piano, and then move on. But of course, we'll have to wait to see how that one turns out. But in general, this should definitely make it a bit easier to play the objective, at least in domination, with that B-dom point being there, or in hard point with that hard point location there. However, there is one concern here, especially from the competitive community, and this is the potential for stair glitching, which, if you guys aren't familiar, if you go prone just on the right point of a stair, you can head glitch so heavily on the top of stairs that you are practically invisible. And yet you get a really nice sight line. You can see the enemy very clearly, and all they can see is literally just a few pixels of your head. And that's definitely a reasonable concern, I think, with these stairs being added into the equation right there. In either case, after that, we've got some better looks at subsonic. We haven't had some really good overhead views of this yet, so we definitely get a better indication of the scale of the map looking at it with this overhead shot. Then with Vault, we got a full-on fly-through in one of the multiplayer trailers. So we've already pretty much seen this whole map, but here's a few more images of that. And then finally, for the 6v6 maps at least, here are some new images of Torpedo shots. And then getting into the strike maps, we got some better looks at Warhead as well. This one's going to be that tiny Nuketown-like map that's in the game. Then after maps, let's get into the operators that will be available at launch. I'm not going to go through each one of these individually, simply because I don't personally care that much about what the operators look like or anything. But I thought I'd at least show the general overview images here. So for the Rogue Black Ops faction, these are the operators that we'll have access to at launch. And you can see a couple of those are Zombies operators, Weaver and Maya. And then on the other side, we've got Crimson 1, and these are the operators that will be available at launch, with the Zombies operators being Carver and Gray. Now, more importantly, in this operator section of the blog post, they did show some individual images showing off the operators in greater detail. And with this, they also showed off some guns in greater detail than what we've seen up until this point, including the L85. This one has been leaked in the past. I don't think we've actually seen any official footage of this yet, or at least nothing that's been clear enough to confirm this. But there's the L85. After that, for the first time, we get a nice, really clean look at the Dragunov SUU as well. That'll be in the game. We've had a few very blurry images of this, and it showed up in a mystery box at one point. This is the first nice, clear image we've had. And on a similar note, we see the RMC-2, which is a very unique gun here. It's basically like a bullpup FAL. Again, we saw a super blurry image of this from mystery box footage from the past, but you could hardly even tell what the gun was based on that image, whereas now we get a much clearer image, which does appear to confirm that this is that RMC-2. And that's it, at least for the guns that we haven't seen good, clear images of at this point. Of course, they did show off more guns that weren't in the beta or anything, but we've seen those pop up in various promotional materials in the past. These are just the main ones that I wanted to point out, since it's the first time we get a nice, good look at them. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Definitely a bunch of new information in here. I like the fact that they're at least trying something different with Skyline. Of course, we'll have to see how that new area plays out. And when it comes to that firing range, I'm definitely looking forward to some of those additional features, although I do fear that the firing range will still feel a bit lacking in the features department. But again, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Based on all of this new information I revealed today, how are you guys feeling about things? Like, how are you guys feeling about the changes to the hot tub side of the map on Skyline? Do you think that'll be a good change or not so much? And also, what are your thoughts on the firing range or anything else that was revealed in today's video? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Take cover. Secure. Deploy the Mosquito. Objective Bravo secure. Making rounds. Enemy securing Bravo.
What are you pointing at? What does it look like?
Hey. Oh, you're still.
Do you want to bring the box to the?
Yeah, just bring it over to your desk, dude.
The one.
Well, I don't want to give it away. Should I save it for Friday?
Yeah, let's save it. Let's save it.
Away.
4 ounces of cookies.
Well, I mean, everybody. If you look it up,
All
you
right,
know
I'm just
the
trying to piece, and
revolving
I'm
thing.
leaving
Yeah, we
it.
need something joyful.
You're eating it off camera, bro.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
People want-
saving it.
He's saving it.
I'm saving it, Dan.
I know Ethan hates me now.
Somebody, Sadat just sent a members milestone. A members milestone and said Liam Payne died. Did you guys
Blueberry?
talk about it? That's so sad.
Nah.
That's like
Brother, we just dodged a major bullet.
Blueberry
We just dodged a
muffin.
major bullet. No, we did not talk about it.
Thank you to all the members.
Thank you, all the members.
Should I give my opinion?
can't-
Oh, hold on.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess.
give your in-depth
Pretend I
opinion on
tried it.
this.
Or, bro, I can't even talk. How did I get through that? Pretend I didn't try it.
No one's watching.
Was I
this.
coherent through that?
No.
All right, guys. I've said goodbye 20 times. It's time to say
Yeah.
goodbye. Go to teddyfresh.com. Pick yourself up a mood, dang it. Sure.
Not dang it.
A Kobe.
A co.
And pick yourself up a Trump Victory yarmulke, guys. It's limited time. The denim kippah with the image of Trump. The new item in the art collection of the David Reitman luxury Judaica design house.
Fucking video, bro. The white glove.
We should do an H3 one.
Each product created by David Reitman Luxury Judaica is not only a wardrobe item, but also an expressive artistic statement that emphasizes the individuality and unique style of its owner.
Being a fucking Trump.
I don't know how
Being
to
a
end
fucking
this.
dumbass. Terrible taste.
I don't know how to end this.
All right, thank you, Zach. Zach's trying to go home. I agree. All right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll see everybody on Friday. Thank you guys for listening. Wish y'all the best. I love all you guys. Thank you. AB, Lena, I love you guys with all my heart. And that's what it is.
She would not be able to have a trip back to Casper if it weren't for my YouTube fans, or trolls even, if you want to be like that, you know? She's 40 years old, living at home with mommy and daddy, and she's mad that I broke up with her, so she says she'll say I'd do anything to try to make herself look like the better person in the situation. That's called manipulation, and Jessica's horrible at it because everybody can see past her bullshit.
The projection is pretty off the charts here, right? Because he's had Clint help him out every step of the way whenever he's getting kicked out of places, moving into new places, getting stuff for him. Josh is clearly not paying all of the bills on his own inside of his places. Now, it's kind of apples to oranges. I understand that because Jessica's situation is honestly nightmarish. If you're like apprehensive of, well, you know, should we have kids, should we not have kids, and you look at the Jessica story, that would solidify it. I'm not saying staying with your parents is a bad thing, especially with how the world, the housing market is today. I get it. If you're 40 without a job and your sole career is to get drunk and ramble about some wizard in Wyoming, and then obviously it would be different if she was actually respectful towards her parents, but she is the worst. She is literally one of the worst people that we've come across in the history of talking about people on this channel. And her disrespect to her parents that feed her and clothe her and house her, it's pretty sick. So, but it's not like Josh was unaware of all these things. It's always funny to me whenever these situations unfold and then they say, yeah, you know, living with your parents, like, you're so disrespectful. It's like we had evidence of that prior, even while you guys were dating. And you just tried to brush him away and whoops-a-doodle. It's just a little whoops-a-doodle there.
at least I can admit I'm mature enough to admit I'm a high-functioning alcoholic. And that I don't need alcohol to enjoy my life, but it does take the edge off.
Spoken like somebody that has a real strong grasp around their addiction. And the funny thing is, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't think I've really encountered anybody in severe conversation, like in-depth conversations that have been alcoholics. But I feel like a lot of them that we've talked about are self-aware, that they understand that they have the addiction. And it's like Blade did, and World of T-Shirts does, and Cobra does. It's like, well, yeah, I guess there's like, that's like the first step, right, is to admit that you have a problem. Except he kind of doesn't exactly admit he has a problem. He just, it helps chill him out a little bit. It helps him get with his buddy and suck on some titties, and that's most definitely what is up.
Jessica Boyle is the biggest clout-chasing grifter I've ever seen. And Jessica Boyle wants to get mad because we didn't get to have a cemetery picnic. It's like, well, you want to spend the night before fighting with me, and then all day the next day you're spending all day cleaning. And then it rains. You know what I'm saying? It happens. You can't have a picnic anywhere if it's raining. Sorry. And I tried to be as patient as I could with Jessica Boyle, but she's got more mental problems than I do and refuses to see it. And then on the rare occasion she does see that she has mental problems, she'll immediately take it back because she likes to twist her words.
We're gonna be stuck in this vortex for a while, I fear. It's just gonna be these two bickering back and forth to each other until she flies out to see him, and then either it goes well or it goes poorly, and then they talk about how much they love each other, or they talk about how much they hate each other, and then the cycle repeats itself. And Cobra's gonna get stuck in this like broken record where he just repeats stories from the past over and over and over and over and over again to justify his actions against her. It's not looking great because literally, as I explained in the beginning, his content for the past month has just been food hacks and this. He's done a couple oddballs here and there in between, but that's the main focal point of his content. And oh boy.
I'm gonna keep not talking about certain people on my channel and just doing my thing. And Sean's grounded from going live for mentioning those two. Now, when you're dealing with people who don't want to date you, for example, I don't care what gender y'all's is. You just gotta say to yourself, you know what? They ain't hot enough to be with me anyways. My track record with women in the past is kind of depressing, to be honest. Most women don't want to date me because I come off as creepy, and I don't mean to be creepy, I'm just got that natural, serious resting face. Just gotta continue to ignore and let go of certain people, and like I've been doing, and just keep doing my thing.
So now he's in like major copium mode. He's trying to apologize, I guess, about his prior relationships and how people have messed with him in the past, even though he was stalking Ellen all that time, even though he claims that's not true. He was just hanging out with Walt and Angie, guys. Come on, that's his sole reason. That's it. That's why else would he go there? That would just be ridiculous to think otherwise. And he's just trying to rationalize with himself that, hey, it's gonna get better. Things are gonna go to the up of the up. And it's kind of sad seeing his state since he's been inside the trailer. And I've seen people mention that it's like kind of his like coffin or sarcophagus, if you want to call it. That like this is kind of like the final stage of Cobra. Like for however long he's gonna end up being there, this is gonna be it. And we aren't even getting like all the cool fun things that he used to do. Like the amount of like actually making something food hacks has gone down drastically, and now he just like buys slop from Wendy's or, you know, whatever, Little Caesars, Domino's, and like that's the thing. It's like that's not nearly as fun. I can get behind the drink combos kinda, but those are all just kind of boring and slopped together. His mead videos don't really exist as much anymore. It's just kind of sad. I just feel kind of sad.
So apparently Jessica Boyle is trying to come back to Casper. After I told her we broke up, I don't want to see her again. If she shows up to my house again, I will have her arrested for stalking. I will have her trespass from my house, and I'll put a restraining order on her ass. If Jessica Boyle really loved me, she would just leave me alone and let it go. Realize it's over. I honestly would think that Jessica Boyle needs to get off the internet, quit drinking, and to seek some mental help. I think it would do her wonders. But she won't do it because she's more stubborn than I am. Now, Jessica wants to come back to Casper. Can't say I blame her. Casper's a pretty mountain town. But if she shows up to my house again, I will call the cops on her. I called the cops on her last time she did it. And by the time the cops did show up, me and her were drinking and we were getting along just fine. I figured, okay, maybe Jessica's matured a little bit and she's realized the error of her ways. I go the first time because she had alcohol and I felt sorry for her. And I wasn't going to make my fans pay for her hotel room. The fact that Jessica Boyle is e-begging for a trip back to Casper after all the horrible things she accused me of, most people would think, okay, if Josh is so horrible, then why the fuck do you want to go back to Casper? She tells on herself, dude.
So we all know that this whole situation of Jessica returning and him calling the cops is not going to happen. Well, it might happen. I mean, he claims that he called them last time, but they got drunk and they were having a good time, and so he sent them away. It's gonna happen again. You know, you don't think that spending those coins on those online chat rooms, you picking up while I'm throwing down, gherkin your stirkin, you don't think that's gonna get a bit old, and then when good old grandma shows up, you don't think you're gonna take that to Clown Town? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm skeptical.
They're like, no, I could find a chick in her 20s that's super banging, easy to look at, even easier to get along with. It's not gonna give me this much bullshit. I don't need, you know, I was willing to make the long distance crap work. I'm like, I don't care if Jessica's the prettiest. I don't care if she's older than me. I don't care about her past boyfriends. Whatever. I tried to make it work and I couldn't do it. So sue me. Most guys couldn't put up with her shit, I guarantee you that. But what initially drew me to Jessica Boyle was the fact that she had big old titties and she got a smart mouth. And I saw a lot of myself inside of her, and I felt sorry for her. But then once I realized, she's more mentally insane than I am, I'm like, nope, I don't need this crap. I do not need this crap in my life.
I still like that he plays the fascination that people in the audience would actually be interested in dating Jessica. I don't think the dating pool market for a 40-year-old stay-at-home, no job, have an ass is very high. The pool selection for her is probably not great, but hey, you know, I don't know about the depravity that exists in the comment section. Some of you might have been hopping on that right udder when Cobra was going down with his buddy. You might have tried to sneak in there, you know. You were like the runt in the litter, and you had to get a taste.
Josh, can you please talk to me? I miss you. I miss you. Please talk to me. I miss you, and I love you so much. I want you in my life. I wish you knew.
Sitting there saying, you know what, and that's the thing of it, I would rather die alone than be with that wretched woman. She's the worst. And they can't admit, you know what, Cobra's got good taste in women.
I won't admit that, Cobra. I will admit that playing her slobbering, crying, audio recording, voicemail on your phone, that's pretty based. I can get behind that. I get behind exposing Jessica. You gotta protect your legacy, you know? Who else is gonna sit here and drink and eat on camera? I mean, we don't have the replacements, right? This is the show right now. We can't let some groupie from Virginia ruin that.
I've been ignoring her. She tried calling me on Discord earlier and I blocked her. Friend request, deleted it. and ignored her call. This is how I'm choosing to be. Calm and collected. Be like, you know what? I don't need Jessica Boyle's psychotic shit.
So he's trying to take the high road. Who knows if that's actually going to end up that way. This has been the Cobra update. I've been curious. I've taken a step back, mostly because, like, at this point in the Cobraverse, I'm kind of really only interested when Jessica shows up, which is probably bad. I shouldn't be advocating for that, but now that I've seen his several updates from her, I feel like we get a well-rounded view of what's going on, and I'm looking forward to her potentially showing back up soon. So either way, guys, hope you enjoyed. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Domination. Capture and keep hold of the objectives. We control Alpha. Troops in contact! Fire!
Come on, John, stay with it.
Objective Bravo. Enemies taking Alpha. We control Bravo. We've taken...
Taking effective fire!
Securing objective Charlie. Enemy securing Bravo. UAV standing by. Objective Bravo is compromised. Get We're taking Alpha. We're taking Bravo.
I'm reloading.
Objective Bravo secure.
Enemy spotted. Be advised, UAV is exiting the AO. Damn, that shit was close.
We've secured the lead. Enemy Bravo. We've lost Bravo.
Shite! Taking effective fire!
Enemy securing Charlie.
Oh, that fucking hurt.
Enemy UAV.
Requesting air support.
Down 2-2 inbound. Securing objective Bravo. The enemy has captured two objectives. Friendly Mosquito active. We control Bravo. Solid hit. Enemy KIA. We're taking Alpha. Securing objective Alpha. Losing Charlie. Enemy securing Bravo. The enemy took Charlie. Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back. We're taking Bravo. We're losing Alpha. We're taking Charlie. Enemy currently holds all objectives. Securing objective Bravo. Objective Charlie secure. Secure. Taking Bravo.
Changing mags.
We've taken the lead. We've got an airdrop inbound.
Damn, that shit was close.
We control 2 objectives. Enemy securing Bravo. Enemy securing Charlie. Enemies taking Bravo. Friendly mortar strike on the way. Hostile UAV in the area.
Taking effective fire.
Secure. Keep it up, lads. We're losing Charlie. Our counter UAV is active. Hostile Mosquito is online.
Incoming.
Objective Alpha is
Grenade out.
compromised. Get it back. Friendly Mosquito deployed. Friendly Mosquito active. Taking Alpha.
Taking fire.
Friendly remote turret deployed. Friendly Mosquito deployed. You're halfway to mission complete.
Check your bloody fire.
Hostiles launched a cruise missile. Enemy UAV active.
Got your 6.
Securing objective Alpha.
Fire.
Enemy securing Charlie. Enemy securing Bravo. We hold all objectives.
Taking fire.
Charlie is
Find medical.
Get it back. Enemies taking Bravo. Enemy securing Bravo. Hostile UAV in the area. Enemies taking Bravo. Control 2 objectives.
Taking effective fire. Loading. Still alive.
Losing Alpha.
Take cover.
Securing objective
Bloody
Bravo.
hell.
Enemies taking Alpha. Enemies securing Bravo. All objectives secure. Keep it up, lads. We've lost Alpha. Taking Alpha.
I have your back.
We're losing Charlie.
Reloading.
Alpha secure. Enemy UAV active. The enemy took Charlie. We're
Tossing
losing
grenade.
Alpha. UAV ready to deploy. We're taking Charlie. 12 Bravo.
The enemy.
Requesting recon flyover.
Copy. UAV is a hostile UAV in the area.
X-ray down. Switching mags.
Friendly Mosquito active.
Yeah, you got this.
Taking Alpha.
Taking round.
Keep it. Hostile cruise missile incoming. Friendly Mosquito deployed.
Temper core.
We're losing Alpha.
They are literally more powerful than any international force. They can't even get a goddamn government. Chevron is bigger than America. What are you supposed to do? Forward the environmental.
So you might have heard of Chernobyl or the BP oil spill or even Exxon Valdez. What if I told you that there's an even worse natural catastrophe in the Amazon that no one knows about? The craziest part is it was done on purpose. Right? The company that did this can destroy entire communities whenever it wants. It can lock up anyone who gets in their way, and best of all,
With Donzinger, big shots in LA.
they don't take that. Now, we're talking about Chevron, and their headquarters are right behind this wall. Right? Now, you might think we're here to cause a scene and be really annoying, but there's one thing you should know about us, is that we love power and we love oil. So we're here to get a job.
Should we just go out the...
Okay, maybe they didn't shoot this part in LA. I think this is... I suspect that they shot this in the Did they shoot this in Australia?
Chevron wasn't making this easy. You know, we're just here to get a job, and we quickly realized no one wanted to help us. They just kept sending us back and forth.
Would you be able to give them my resume in case they come down?
Enemy securing Bravo.
You don't want to take it?
It turns out we might have been in the wrong building, but security gave us a pass to go upstairs just to be sure. We don't want to miss out on this job.
They're not here. They're not here. They're not here. They must have moved out 3 years.
There were just a bunch of empty offices where Chevron used to be, so we decided to leave and give up on our dreams of working for a big oil company. Our big oily dreams were completely shattered, but out of nowhere, a friendly security guard told us where to go.
Oh, so there is building.
Finding a job isn't easy, you know? Sometimes you make mistakes.
You know what they say, the key to any new job is persistence, so we showed up at the new headquarters.
I just want to get a job with the oil company.
Yeah, we've got our resumes here. As you can see, we're very, very oily men.
Just come out the front for us.
Wait,
go out the front?
Go in there?
No. It's a security risk here.
Oh, it's dangerous in there.
No, it's just a security risk here. You can't get access to this.
Okay, even if we're this oily?
Yes.
Okay. We thought you guys love oil, though.
Get a job. Can you guys give our resumes to someone?
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
They are a bit oily.
So we can't get a job here? Cool.
So we've had some kind of misunderstanding. Chevron doesn't want to hire us today, but also we're also not allowed within 100 meters of Chevron or any of its subsidiaries, which is a bit of an overreaction. Look, I'm not an idiot. Like, I know this looks bad. I understand how it looks, but Chevron, if you're listening, I'm not some kind of like creepy, unhinged stalker that's making videos about you on the internet. No, I'm a normal guy. I'm just a regular, well-adjusted person, and I'd also make an asset to your company.
Bro did not get a job at Chevron. He is putting the fries in the bag. Stick to your day job.
We just need to, if you let me explain it from the start, you'll understand. So if we go to the beginning, which is, it actually all started pretty much around, where to start? It's wide. Aha!
Here, in 1541, when Spanish explorer Francisco de Orellana first set sail down the Amazon River in Ecuador looking for El Dorado, the mythical city of gold. Now, spoiler alert, he did not find a city made of gold, but he did find a lot of rocks made of gold, and silver, and iron, and copper, and slaves, and fruit, and coffee, and slaves. All the Europeans had to do was kill 56 million people, and before you know it, everyone got in line. South America became a never-ending conveyor belt, kind of like this belt grinder here. It just keeps going in circles, loading up stuff on this end and emptying it all in Europe on this end. And that's me. I'm Europe in this analogy. Now, the real-life conveyor belt is even better than this because, you know, unlike a belt grinder, it doesn't hurt your face when you use it. It pretty much just gives you free stuff for like the next 500 years and counting. Like, eventually, Chevron will make really good use of this conveyor belt to like suck all the oil out of South America and, you know, make one of the worst environmental catastrophes we've ever seen. But that's for later in the story. For the first couple of centuries,
he chipped his tooth doing that. That's insane, dude. What is? God, these guys are so ridiculous.
It was primarily used for gold and a couple of other weird things like cigarettes and purple shirts. I don't know, Europeans love that stuff for some reason, but my point is, it's a solid conveyor belt. Even when the South Americans eventually kicked out the Western powers and started ruling themselves, the conveyor belt stayed intact. Over the next 100 years, every now and then they would elect someone who wanted to keep all these profits in South America, but the CIA would just organize a military coup and replace them with a more business-friendly leader, i.e., you know, someone who would make sure Western companies got all the profits. Ecuador is a great example. I mean, look at Jose Maria Velasco Ibarra. I mean, you don't have to look at it. What you need to know is that he got the most votes anyone's ever gotten in Ecuador. He was voted in as president 5 got to complete a full term in power because every time he got voted in, he'd immediately be kicked out by a military coup and replaced with a pro-US leader. My man started getting used to it, but the final time he got voted in and then immediately kicked out was extra special, since it coincided with the discovery of huge amounts of oil in the Ecuadorian Amazon. Now, Jose wanted to nationalize the oil and have the profits returned to Ecuador instead of going to giant Western oil companies like Chevron. So, obviously, the military did a coup and removed him from power. Now, at the time of the coup, all television stations went off the air. 6 million Ecuadorians had no idea that a military takeover was happening, but somehow an American company called Texaco knew exactly what was going on, and funnily enough, the military government's first order of business was to grant Texaco full rights to Ecuador's oil, which is a crazy coincidence. But what's even more of a coincidence is that every time a new leader took the reins of this newly formed Ecuadorian military dictatorship, he'd have to assure Washington that he had no plans to nationalize the oil industry if he wanted to stay in power. Now, with Ecuador's pesky democracy out of the way, Texaco went to town on the Amazon, digging up all of Ecuador's resources for free and keeping all the profits for themselves. Now, over time, the very hungry oil company drank up so much free oil and just grew and grew and grew that eventually Texaco merged with Chevron, which made two very big oil companies become one of the biggest companies in the world. But the fun ended in 1992. The Ecuadorians finally managed to nationalize their oil and they drove the oil giant out of the country. But this is where the horror show really started. I mean, the Ecuadorians finally got full control of the oil fields and they got a glimpse of what this company's been doing in the Amazon for the past 20 years. There were always rumors of what was going on deep in the rainforest. You know, while the company was in charge, local tribes occasionally complained that their water tasted different. But the oil company brushed them aside and said, don't worry about the taste of the water, drink it up. We've done you a favor and filled it with special vitamins that are good for you, actually. And it turns out they did exactly what you'd expect a giant corporation to do in a third world country where they had complete control over the government. They decided to dump 72 billion litres of toxic waste into the pristine rainforest rivers because it was cheaper than disposing of it properly. They wiped out multiple local communities, they poisoned and scarred their bodies and destroyed all their food and water, causing what experts have called the Amazon Chernobyl.
Requesting recon flyover!
Body, let's see what it's like to fuck. There's more stuff of like when it, like if someone's disabled, or is that gonna make them feel different, or like if someone is like has adrenaline running through them when they switch bodies, is that gonna change the person they're going? Like those questions are interesting to me, of like how body affects mind, a very Cronenbergian sort of thing, and like people as machines, but also our minds in those machines. Like what is the person? Like that's very fascinating to me. He has no interest in investigating that, and then on top of that, like okay, it's fine. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I will end this rant and I'll shut up.
No,
it has no interest in investigating the aspect, which is fine. Not every movie needs to be what like not every movie needs to investigate the things that I want it to investigate. It can be its own thing. It doesn't have to explore those things. And what it wants to be doing is very clearly a who is in who kind of thriller thing of like, ooh, which character's actually in who and what's the ulterior motive going on here. But that story is also very uninteresting because it takes an hour and 20 minutes to get to the actual point of this 2-hour movie. And the thing that happens is an accident, not like someone has a motive. It's just an accident and then they kind of talk about it for 10, 20 minutes and the movie's over. And then on top of that, there's this weird puritanical stuff in it where like there's a character who like he's having he's in a kind of his relationship. This in the first scene, he has a relationship with his girlfriends on the rocks because they like don't want to have sex with each other, and like it's shown later on that she's kind of into having sex with him in another body at one point, but he's still not into it. It just goes to this underlying point of like, oh, he's just not in. Their relationship is just not working. It has nothing to do with like spicing it up. It's just it fundamentally doesn't work. But then the movie ends on this point of making that boyfriend character, like extremely punished for what are fairly like nominal things. Like he kisses another girl in another body, and then he also like the end of the movie sort of ends on like he literally goes to jail for murder, which he did not do, and the movie says that's okay because he should be punished for briefly kissing another girl behind his girlfriend's back when it, like their relationship on the rocks. I mean, like a shitty thing to do, I admit, but like going to jail for murder, and then also like saying, oh, because he liked these, like they has these kind of weird porn desires, like his porn is like kind of spicy and weird. He's like, yeah, I'm gross and I look at porn and I can't get interested in normal people anymore, and I'm like. And the film never presents a counter to that, so it's just sort of like, it's just there of like, yeah, his porn is weird and he's just real weird and bad about it. And I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? It makes me angry. Anyways, sorry for the rant.
You sound like my reaction to, obviously not the same argument, but my reaction to Tame.
Change your mags.
The girl fucks a car movie.
You see Teton.
Oh yeah, I heard people in the chat talking about too. Yeah, I heard about that movie as well.
That is a movie I so like. Again, watching the trailer, I'm like, okay, this is my shit. And I feel like, so there's one of two ways that I can go. If a movie is something that I'm like, this is how I feel, where it's like, this is something that, not necessarily the core concept, but the execution is very much like something I would make. Like if I had unlimited power to make something interesting and go for it, like this is something I, not necessarily all the same artistic choices, but at every turn in the substance, I was like, are they going to do this? Because I would like to do this. And then they do it, and I'm like, fuck yes, let's go. Detain is
I remember
that, where I was like, I was watching it, and I should be able to be like strapped in and okay, this is so my shit, and then it veers into like not the direction I wanted to take it. But yes,
I hate,
sorry.
that's so no, it's so frustrating, right? When you see that it's like that's a good idea, and then they like don't do the interesting thing with it, and you're like, well, that idea's been burned now. Like if I went out and pitched that, or whatever, like, I can't do it. It's been done. But like, man,
to be fair, I will say on Teton, I've heard both ends of that argument. So it seems to be one of those movies that I heard Transfield very and explored exactly what I wanted, or Transfield going, it's exactly what I didn't want. And I kind of have to respect that more than the one, what you were describing, Jesse, which is just complete incuriosity all around. That's, I recognize this is a personal thing, but I think one of the good things about being a movie analyst is recognizing sometimes you're like, yeah, some things you're just not going to be effective with exactly. And what I realize is like, I cannot watch things like, for example, Freaky or any movie where like the whole point of the movie is, oh, this teenage girl got stuck in this old man's body. Isn't that wacky? And every time I'm like, this isn't wacky,
Freaky
that is
very good.
Traumatic.
I liked Freaky too.
Freaky is one of my favorite line readings of all time, where the
I
gay
don't think it's
kid.
good. It's just one of those things where just watching the trailer made me uncomfortable, and I'm like, nope, okay, that just goes into a department that doesn't. It's the same way I've heard some people describe like some fears where they're just like, nope, I just can't go anywhere near that subject. And I'm like,
totally get that. I will say,
I
like
like that line for
Freaky,
myself and being like, this isn't something to throw my pain at, but it's also something where I can totally sit there and be like, but it's more complicated. And I'm like, but of course they don't know that.
Yeah, I think
you would know that if you haven't experienced it.
Freaky is not the deepest movie of all time, but I actually kind of liked it because I did think there was like some level of empathy there for like a girl being in this guy's body and the dysmorphia of that and like what that would act like. There was more curiosity. It's again not the deepest movie, but I do think it has a fun and not a cruelty towards like making fun of that concept.
No, yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the thing. I wasn't trying to imply that. I was more saying like the feeling I got watching the trailer was like, oh God, I don't think this is going to touch on the exact things that I feel in a way that will make me personally
interested.
Well, not just interested, but like in a way that when they don't cover it, I will just reflect on my own feeling and reflect over and over and over again. And that's the thing. I get what you're saying.
To find the human in Lori Vallow in this case, because that's what I do. I'm not content just hearing this evil woman kill her kids. I need to know why. And the Lori Vallow case is incredibly complicated. But the very first place that I found Lori to possibly be a human being was in 2018. She was on her 4th marriage. Okay, I gotta say, Lori was a devout religious person. And she had no problem walking away from love and getting a divorce. This can be extremely frowned upon in the community. And so, to be honest, this shows that Lori is dedicated to her religion, but she is willing to do things righteously and walk away if it doesn't work out. But this also tells me Lori loves love. Okay? You don't dive into 4 different marriages looking for fulfillment and happiness and trying to feel it all if you're not a person that loves love. Otherwise, you just sit back and remain non-committal. But she was trying, and I get that, because a lot of us, that's what we want. We're looking for a big love. But Lori wasn't just looking for a big love. All of her other relationships didn't work out for a couple of different reasons. You know, maybe they met at the wrong time, maybe it was an impulsive marriage, maybe they just kind of grew apart. But there was actually one underlying reason why Lori's marriages weren't working out. You remember I said before that she was a devout religious woman. Well, that was a big part of it. Lori Vallow was looking for a spiritual warrior of sorts. Somebody that could match her level of religious conviction. And she just wasn't finding it with her past husbands. I mean, it was like after the love kind of wore off and the general excitement, she was just left in a marriage with somebody that didn't love God as much as she did, and sometimes judged the way that she talked about fire on my next bullet goes to you. Lori gets invited to this religious conference in Utah with 2 of her friends, and that's when she sees him. There's this guy standing up front, and he's talking about God and belief, and I mean, it's just beautiful, and he speaks with so much conviction. It's almost like white light surrounding. And Lori knows this is my spiritual equal. And not only that, but this man knows something. He knows something dark. The end of the world is coming, and only 144,000 of God's most loyal servants will be taken up into the kingdom. And he knows when it's happening, and he knows how to get there, and he will be exalted. And Lori, by God, she is coming with him.
Objectives. Secure those positions. Enemy UAV active.
Welcome to another week, another Sinister. And it's me, your host, Bose. I'm here. Look, I know, Bose, don't sound too excited. I'm here every Friday. Now, we were here before on Mondays, but now the body cam videos come out on the second channel on Mondays, so I'm here with you on Friday. Yay! A little switch up, but don't forget the live streams and the body cam videos still happen on Mondays, so you have lots of festivities. Now you've got something for your Friday. Sinister. I just want to mention before we hop in, you've probably heard of the Lori Vallow case before, and if you're anything like me, you were probably very confused through the whole thing. What I found when I was researching, I watched a couple of documentaries, and a lot of them came out in 2020, 2021, before we even went to trial. This case was so salacious because Lori Vallow was a pretty woman that murdered her kids, and it was like, okay, why? I feel like the media really focused on the salaciousness of it or the craziness of it, and they really built up this story rather than really explaining why. So when I was watching documentaries on this case, one, they were very confusing because of the way the story was revealed, and two, not all of the information was out yet. So I am now bringing this to you after watching hours and hours of multiple documentaries on the case, some of which were convoluted and had no new information. I also had to listen to one of Chad Daybell's books, narrated by his own family member, monotonously, because I was just not okay with what the media headlines put in front of me about this case, and I needed more information. And you know what? I feel like I understand this case a little bit more now. Lori, who was originally born Lori Noreen Cox, was born to parents Janice and Barry Cox on June 26th, 1973, in a city in San Bernardino, California. Now, her mother, Janice, can be seen in a lot of specials and a lot of documentaries about Lori. We'll talk a little bit more about Janice's demeanor and the ways that she defended Lori and then later switched up, but I kind of wanted to point out one thing about Janice is her appearance. Janice is a much older woman that seems to care a lot about her appearance. When you see her in documentaries, you know, she doesn't just have her hair bleached or dyed and, you know, has a little bit of makeup on for the documentary. Like, no, she is tanned. She has on sparkly makeup. She's got her hair freshly, like bleach, just everything. When you look at her, you can tell this is a woman that cares very, very much about her appearance, has a specific type of style, and has cared about her appearance her entire life. I mention this because this is the woman that raised Lori, and even though we don't have too much information from this, it was just something I noticed in all of the documentaries that I couldn't unsee. So Lori was the second youngest out of 5 kids, and she was raised in a very, very, very religious home. Her family was in the Latter-day Saints, and they lived in California, but, you know, they were practicing, had family in Utah, would occasionally travel over there. But the big thing about Lori, and I thought this was so interesting, was Lori was not going to church just once a week, not just twice a week for, you know, a little Bible study or something. She was going every single day before school. So she would have her normal day where she went to church with her family, but she also was going to religious education classes in the morning before school every single day, Monday through Friday. Now, look, this is actually a common practice for Mormon children. It's called seminary, but I want you to get a picture of how much religion took center stage in her life. Lori's entire life was God and the church. A lot of kids, I'm somebody that has a bit of religious trauma, and I just went to church 2, maybe 3 times a week. But like clockwork, week over week, this girl was talking about religion at minimum 30 hours a week. 30 hours a week. And that doesn't even include, you know, when she goes home and her family sits around and says, let's all read the Book of Mormon together and like have a couple scriptures and some tea. You know what I mean? Like, she is constantly soaking up this information. Now, I know this is a pretty generic thing to say in true crime, but I actually believe this to be true. People said Lori was a pretty happy kid and she had a happy childhood. Like, there are people that have memories of her when she was much younger because she seemed to build some meaningful connections with people, or people remembered her, right? One of her friends, Flores, said she had us laughing hysterically all the time. I just always thought she was kind of a Barbie doll. She was just really, really friendly, not overly friendly, really sweet, just normal, and I always felt excited to get to know her. Like, that is how people remember Lori when she was a kid. She did, however, get pretty good grades, and she was involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. She was a flyer with the cheerleaders, like, you know, the person that they lift up that's kind of like light and, I'm here. You know, that was Lori. Now, another thing is, part of the reason why Lori was so happy was because religion was her glue. Religion was her you can do no wrong. A lot of kids, when they're younger, they're armed with this knowledge of, hey, you're religious now. You want to get into heaven. That's the big goal. So while you're on earth, be nice, be loyal to God, and then you will go to heaven. So for somebody like Lori that is going to religious education school every single day, religion is her world. All she cares about is God. All she cares about is she has this, like, the schematic of honor him, worship him, go to school, go to cheerleading, and everything will be okay. This is Lori Cox, okay? Lori Cox's entire personality is, I am here to serve God and you, whatever you need, I can do it. Like, that's who she is, okay? And she does it with a smile. She was just here to do a good job, and I'm here wherever you need me. Like, it kind of feels like there's times where there's like nothing between the ears, but I mean, there is something between the ears, and it's God. It's God and good grades. And like, that is who she is. If you tell her, do X, Y, Z, and I'll consider you a good person, Lori Vallow is gonna do XYZ. That's just who she was. Summer's almost over, but listen, it's not the only time that you get body odor, and it's not the only time that you want to stay clean and smelling nice. Lumi can help. Did you guys know that their formula provides 72 hours of protection? 72 hours of protection. That's what you're getting from Lumi. It's a pH balancing deodorant that keeps you covered all day long and a little bit more. Lumi is a whole body deodorant, so you can use it on your pits, you can use it on your privates, you can use it wherever you want. You put it on your feet, you can use it from the soles to the face, whatever you want to do. Lumi has got you. And guess what? You're going to be smelling nicer than ever. We got pumpkin spice, we got lavender, we got cinnamon, freshly picked apples. These are scents for Lumi, of course. Lumi's not just for making you smell good and keeping that odor protection all day. It's also for keeping your pits drier, okay? Everything is about to be sealed up if you put this stick on your body. And look, if you don't know where to start, well, let's start with the starter pack. This thing has solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash or the deodorant wipes. Those are useful. I like those. Now, the starter pack is already discounted, but if you use the code for 15% off that I'm about to give you, you can actually stack it on top of the starter pack. If you want to try Lumi today and give it a shot, just use the code SINISTER at checkout for 15% on top of your starter pack if that's where you want to go first. That's LUMEDEODORANT. Enter the code SINISTER at LumiDeodorant.com for 15% off your purchase. Up until this point, Lori is just going to school, getting her good grades, going to cheer practice, going to church, going to her religious studies. And I'm Lori, where do you need me? That's just how she is the whole time. Until her senior year, when Lori Vallow ends up tasting the forbidden fruit. That's right, she got her first boyfriend in her senior year. Now, this is interesting because it also lends the credence to my theory that Lori is just here to be a good girl because they told her, you know, you ain't having sex before marriage. You don't need to be dating nobody. You don't need to, who you need to date? God, G-O-D, Jesus. He's number one, the savior, the man, right? This is how she was raised. She wasn't even looking at guys until she was a senior in high school. And the other thing is, Lori was kind of a baddie. She was a little cutie, you know, she's blonde, she's got pretty facial features, but she was not looking at any of these guys. And suddenly, in her senior year, she not only gets her first boyfriend, but she falls in love. And this is Lori's first big love. And there's many more to come, but this one was serious. She and Nelson Yanes dated from the early 90s and ended up getting married in 1992. But one big problem, he was not of the faith. And Lori didn't really like to talk about her. When she brought Nelson around her family members, they immediately knew, like, that boy is not Mormon. Like, what are you doing? I mean, he's not a Latter-day Saint. He's not a Mormon. Is he even religious? This is really, really interesting because Lori was such a devout Latter-day Saint. And not only did she bring home a boy who is not of the religion, but she didn't seem to care. And this is just kind of the first break that I see in Lori's character, almost that she is willing to sacrifice her morals for a guy. Now, is it a problem for somebody that is religious to date somebody that's non-denominational or not religious? That's fine with me. But for her and her family, this is odd. Regardless, she and Nelson marry in 1992. But the marriage quickly falls apart because he's not Mormon. That's actually what the big thing was. Nelson was not. He was just a guy. But the relationship ended up fizzling out and they divorced and had no children. So next, Lori gets married to her second husband in 1995, just a couple of years later. She has her first child out of this marriage. It's her son named Colby. And, you know, Colby actually said to later, quote, "It was a genuinely bad marriage." And that's all he had to say about it. So she ends up divorcing her second husband shortly after they got married. But in 2001, she is right back at the altar, ladies and gentlemen. Then she ends up marrying a guy named Joseph Ryan in 2001. This is just 6 years after her second marriage. And this one also, total disaster, total disaster. This third marriage is when Lori actually has her first daughter, Tylee. And Tylee was only 3 years old when they divorced in 2004. Lori is in and out of these relationships, but one of the biggest priorities to her was being a good mom. And I know that's shocking for me to say what happened, but what we are looking for here is what is the turning point, okay? Her son, Colby, also said this guy was a piece of trash. Her second husband was also abusive to her. And you know what? Yeah, Nelson wasn't a Mormon. I think that Lori would fall for these men hard and fast. She didn't start dating until she was a senior. She didn't realize how good attention from these guys felt. But then when the relationship fails, she just copes by retreating deeper into her faith. Now, I think this is a good time to let you know some of the information that I picked up during the interviews with her family. When I'm diving into a case, we collect all of our research, which, by the way, the research packet on this is 42 pages long. What I also do is I read as many court documents, I watch court videos because I like to see people's demeanor, and what I also do is I watch documentaries about the case. Now, I want to be very, very clear. I do not use any storylines or anything particularly that are from documentaries because Netflix and whatever else, they sometimes like to fudge things to make a story. However, these documentaries, whether they come from Netflix or Discovery ID, they often have exclusive interviews with people that process the crime scene, people in the judicial system that worked on the case, or very often family members. So even though the storytelling in a lot of these documentaries are not what I'm gonna take as gospel, I do take the family members' words as true. And what I found while looking into the Lori cases, people thought that Lori was delusional. So let's just pause for a second. It's 2005. Lori has 2 children, Colby and Tylee, and she's just gotten out of her 3rd marriage. She's, she's 3 times divorced, somewhere in her 30s at this point. There was a moment in the documentary where Lori's mother starts to talk about how Lori was exhibiting some strange behaviors. Now, her mother is extremely religious, okay? But even Janice was noticing that some of Lori's beliefs were extreme. It was almost like when she got really stressed or upset, she would just go into this loopy, childlike, well, God is just gonna save everything, and the Lord, da-da-da-da, and everything's gonna be fine. And it's like she would get stressed and then just start talking about God happily. Like it was the one thing that made her feel better. And here's the thing, for Lori, for anybody, God is real. Yeah, this is great. We want to go to heaven. Everything's amazing. A delusion is when we accept a thing that is not real as fact because that thing makes us feel good, okay? Oftentimes, people accept delusions because the delusion makes them feel good. And so for Lori, she kind of begins to slip into no longer just faith and perseverance. She's slipping into delusion, religious delusion, when she gets stressed out because her background tells her, we'll follow God and all will be okay. So no matter what the issue is, Lori goes back to God. But God can't always fix everything. Sometimes you have to fix things. If your 3rd husband is like abusive physically and sexually to you and your children, you cannot just pray this away. You have to do something. And so if Lori is dealing with the severe psychological stress of realizing, oh my God, I have married a sexual abuser, her brain just short circuits and says, go with God. And she actually doesn't even know what to do. I'm actually gonna say that this is the first part of maybe turning our empathy cap down a little bit, because I believe that religion was spoon-fed to Lori and she can't help certain delusions. However, if you are of sound mind that you can divorce the abusers and say, oh my God, they did it, there's some disconnect happening when you just fall immediately to religion. And if other people are watching this and saying that you're a little loopy, then you gotta do something about it. You got, she was just on the brink of reality, and it's like she lost it because it was all too much for her. So in the documentary, her mom actually describes a moment where Lori was acting so weird that they actually got her 5150, and they took her in and they interviewed her, and they said, okay, well, she's saying some religious stuff, but like, you know, that's about God, so that's fine. And then also, I really think this was a big factor. Lori was pretty, so they let her go. These people actually came and picked her up after her mother was like, she needs to be treated or she needs to be looked at. And they talked to her and they were like, sounds like everything's fine. You can go home now. And the shock that was on her mom's face when they let her go makes me wonder, what kind of delusional religious stuff was Lori saying that even Janice, a fellow, you know, hardcore religious person, was like, you need to go talk to somebody. And two, I think it's really interesting that she was so shocked that Lori came home that same day. There's also a later clip where Tylee is a little bit older when she's actually talking to the police in the body cam footage, and her mom says something and Tylee goes, you're delusional. So I'm saying all of this to say, around 2005 is when people really started to notice that Lori was becoming a religious fanatic that would deal with any extremely stressful problems by just falling into the world of God and not doing anything else about it. And people were concerned. Now, this will start to happen a bit more from 2005 on, but I want you to be mindful that from 2005 on, Lori is having these religious, delusional episodes, and everybody is watching, but they don't know what to do because she's a good mom that's pretty. I mean, truly, that's why. So right after the divorce in about 2004, same time that I'm saying these delusional things happened around 2005, Lori decides she's gonna be a little brand new, and she competes in a beauty pageant. And Lori is up on stage, honestly, looking great, strutting her stuff, doing her thing. She's got a bikini body, she's smiling. She looks like a pageant girl. But there's one moment in her pageant interview that is not only very strange, but it's foreshadowing of what happens next.
Being a good mom is very important to me, and a good wife, and a good being all this all together is not easy, so I'm basically a ticking time bomb.
Yes, she actually said that. Deep down inside, it sounds like Lori may have known that things were not okay, but sometimes people say things and they really don't know how much they're struggling. So after this, she also ends up appearing on Wheel of Fortune. And while she's on the show, her play is very, very interesting. I actually watched the whole clip. She starts to guess the letters on the screen, and it's very obvious at a point she's got a long puzzle to solve, and every time she spins, she hits for a certain amount of dollars, and she already clearly knows the word because she's guessing every letter to try to up her bank, to make more money. This is a smart Wheel of Fortune tactic, but at one point the host actually says to her, like, Lori, are you sure you want to keep spinning? Because, you know, you could go bankrupt at any point. And she said, well, I didn't have any money when I got here, so I'm not even kidding. That's exactly how she says it too.
I had no money anyway.
So through these actions, Lori is like telling us a couple of things. She has ended her relationship and she's looking for her confidence again, kind of finds it in the beauty pageant. And, you know, she's also looking for maybe a little attention, a little cash. She's looking for something new, okay? She throws herself into beauty pageants and TV right after her third marriage. Like, she's looking for something for her, I think. But there's always something out there for Lori on the field, and that's men. And in 2006, she gets married to her husband, Charles Vallow. That's where she gets the name. In 2006, he was a businessman, pretty well off, and this was actually her longest marriage. This marriage lasted for 13 years. Now, Charles was much older than her. In fact, he was 17 years her senior. But that seemed to work for Lori. She didn't have complaints about Charles towards herself, the kids, or anything, and it was her longest relationship to date. Now, even though this is Lori's, quote, most successful marriage because it had the longest duration, it was not without issues. But before we get into the next part here, I want to just kind of bring back that disclaimer that I mentioned before. I've said before that when the media covered the Lori Vallow case, which you may have heard before, it was a very confusing. It was convoluted. That's because, in my opinion, the way that the story has been told was without all of the pieces. They started covering the Lori Vallow case in 2020 before everything came out of the trial, and so things were not told in chronological order. They were actually told in the order that the evidence was generally found, which I believe makes the story really convoluted. So, for the rest of this podcast, I'm going to tell you things as they happened rather than just when they were revealed, and it will help you understand the timeline of events a little bit better. I'm just giving you that warning because if you've heard this before, you might realize this is laid out a little bit differently, but that's because they were releasing the information before the whole timeline was actually available. You know, the ultimate sampler pack from IQ Bar is the best way to get started with their products. Let me tell you what you get. 7 IQ bars, 4 IQ mix sticks, and then 4 IQ J sticks. Okay, and what is that? You get your bar, you get your sustenance, right? You get your IQ mix, which can be like electrolytes or anything keeping you hydrated through the day. And oh my God, don't even get me started on the IQ Joes. Smooth energy all day and a coffee to wake you up in the morning. How could you go wrong? Now listen, I'm gonna give you a discount at the end for the sampler package, but let me tell you a little bit more about IQ. IQ bars have 9 satisfying flavors. And also, listen, more fiber, less sugar, less carbohydrates than alternatives. Take a look at the nutrition. Maybe it's perfect just for you. I know some of you are very particular, but if you're just looking for something to get you started in the morning, try an IQ bar. Or you could be having a full IQ morning. You have your IQ bar and then wash it down with some electrolyte mix. And then, right after that, you need a little bit of energy? You need a little bit more? Try the IQ Joe. You could have all these back to back, boom, 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 all in 30 minutes and start your day right. Listen, like you think that this is just an ad, but I want you to think about it. Having a low carb, low sugar treat first thing in the morning, some electrolytes, you aren't going to drink no water anyways, and then on top of that, you got a little coffee and caffeine. Tell me that isn't everything you need in the morning. It's everything you need. And guess what? It's all right in the sampler pack. So, let's just go ahead and do this. If you want to get 20% off, IQ Bar's a little bit different. You got to shoot them a little text message, okay? But it's super simple. You text the word Sinister to 64000. It's that easy. Also, did I mention you get free shipping? Free shipping too. So that's Sinister to 64,000. So, like I said, this is Lori's longest marriage, 13 years. But a couple of things happen over the course of the marriage that I think are pretty important. So, one, things seemed to be pretty good in the beginning, but there were some family issues. One thing was that Lori, after her divorce with her third husband, she ends up telling her brother, a man named Alex, that her husband assaulted her child, Tyler. Remember I said that Lori was kind of the baby sister out of 5 siblings? Well, Alex is the big brother. And not only is he the big brother, but he's the big uncle. So when he hears that Tylee had been assaulted, Alex gets pissed and he comes after the guy. In 2007, he was actually arrested for attacking Joseph Ryan. Now, mind you, Lori is married to her new husband, Charles Vallow, at this point. This is how she got the name. But when they're revisiting the previous marriage, this detail comes out and Lori's brother is extremely upset. And I get that. I totally get that. That's his nephew. That's his baby sister. Like, this guy is pissed. During this assault, the brother actually tased Joseph, Lori's ex-husband, and Joseph immediately called his lawyer. Alex pled guilty to aggravated assault, and then he served 3 months in jail. Now, because this arrest happened, there are actually court documents. And in the court documents, it says, quote, Tylee was being pushed by her mother to make an outcry, which Tylee later recanted. The ball is really in your court because let me just break down a couple of family dynamics. Reminder, the third husband is Tylee's biological father. Also, Tylee was under the age of 5 when these things supposedly happened. Now, you can say maybe she felt remorse making a statement against her biological father. Or maybe she knew it happened and Tylee didn't remember, and so she pushed her to make these statements. But regardless, Tylee did later recant, and Joseph has denied all of the abuse allegations. So this is all happening during her 4th marriage to Charles. So he's kind of just watching it happen. And also he sees how crazy Lori's brother is. He's not the spiritual warrior that Lori is looking for, but he's stable. He supports her. He's financially well off. And, you know, he's got a kind soul. Now, family drama aside, there were some happy parts of the relationship. For example, Lori and Charles actually ended up adopting JJ, who was Charles's great nephew. His name was Joshua JJ Jackson. JJ was autistic and needed a bit of support, and not only were Lori and Charles there for him, but also Tylee. This is a huge part of the Valor case that I remember. The number of home movies where Tylee was very protective of JJ, literally saying, "This is my little brother," like back off, like just there was this warmth. She knew JJ had the sweetest soul, and she knew he needed a little bit of support. And this was not her adoptive cousin, second twice removed or something. To Tylee, JJ was pretty much her little brother. In fact, when all the reports came out about this case, JJ was Lori's child. Tylee was Lori's child. These are children that she is supposed to take care of. They look to her like a mother. I mean, of course, Tylee was actually her kid, but they operated as a family unit. I'm going to tell you later in this story that Lori Vallow killed JJ, a child that could not defend himself and never deserved any harm coming to him. But I want to remind you that even though JJ is not Lori's biological child, JJ lived in her home for many years. She put him to bed at night. She took care of him when he needed something. She made him breakfast every morning. She saw him every day. She sent him off to school. By all accounts, this was the closest thing that JJ had to a mother. So if for any reason hearing that JJ was not Lori's biological child changes anything for you, it really shouldn't. She had a responsibility to take care of this child when she adopted him, and he lived there like she was his mother. Now, yes, this was Lori's longest standing relationship, but to be honest, she didn't find exactly what she was looking for in Charles. She was still looking for that spiritual equal, that God warrior, that person that was gonna ride into the holy heavens with her. And you know what? She realized maybe it's not Charles, but he's a good guy and we've got a good home. And she needed a little bit more. She needed a little bit more fire to her religion because this was the most important thing in Lori's life. So she started a podcast. This podcast was on the Preparing a People network, and it was hosted by Lori and her best friend, a woman named Melanie Gibb. This is a spiritual extremism podcast. That is straight up what it is. If I can just like chime in here for a minute with like my Christian roots, which I do all the time. I talk about a lot of cases with female killers and religious killers, okay? That is just what I do. In this podcast, they talk a lot about concepts that don't seem very godlike to me. They talk about evil energy. They talk about spiritual prisons. They're using a lot of terminology that actually strikes me as pretty new agey. Like, we have gone past reading the scripture, okay? Look, God said, go to heaven, read the Bible, be a good person. They started bleeding in this delusion, this religious extremism, these new age concepts. And to me, honestly, a lot of new age concepts are based in overcoming trauma and having like this energetic kind of past that is still haunting you. And the problem is, in religion, we just don't respect mental health. It is actually shocking to me that they even 5150'd Lori at some point, because in extreme religious communities, we're like, oh, she's just praising God and it's okay. The things that Lori was saying on this podcast, honestly, to me, are not even godlike. But the question is, why are they doing this? Why are they diving into these extreme religious concepts? It's because it feels good to them. Delusion feels good to certain people. It is the most horrifying thing for an external person to witness that is not in that world. But the reason why people cling on to delusion is because it feels good. So when Lori is doing all of this, honestly, not even Mormon, very like new age babble under the guise of, being a Latter-day Saint and being more spiritually connected. First of all, she's absolutely lost it. Second of all, this was a really scary podcast for some people to listen to. Her husband, Charles Vallow, after being married to her for 19 years, was like, I cannot even listen to this because I'm a little creeped out. When Lori was running around the house saying random delusional stuff, like how Tylee would comment on it or on how Charles would comment on it, because everybody else in the room wasn't down with her delusions, it kind of stayed caged. Like she might say something and then go off into La La Land or whatever. Now she has created an echo chamber for her delusions with a weekly schedule and other participants. So this means the delusion is going to grow. They are fanning the flames. And every week they're sitting down in this podcast, feeling important, feeling enlightened, feeling closer to God, and feeling like they are doing the Lord's work. But in reality, we are a commune of people bonded together by delusion and spiritual fanaticism. That's what it is. This podcast is a pivotal moment in her life, okay? Because we have gone from her saying a few things in church and people being like, okay, Lori, to her saying a few things in the home and people being like, okay, Lori. Now she's got a podcast. I listened to this podcast a little bit, and I think what was probably the most shocking part about it, other than the spiritual demons conversation, wherever they were recording, this person had multiple pets, a bird, and a dog. And through the entire podcast, while Lori is just me, you just hear this parrot and this bird just going on and on and on in the background. Can y'all imagine if I was doing Sinister and I had a bird right here, a dog right here, and a really energetic cat over here, and I just kept talking and you were supposed to listen? That's what their podcast was like. So, to do an audio show with a dog and a parrot going off in the background, are you enlightened? Are you? Now, you remember I told you this podcast was on the Preparing a People Network, which, by the way, terrifying name to me. Like, I come from Christianity, and preparing a people, that don't sound Christ-like to me. Because you know what? You are not supposed to assemble the mission yourself, okay? You are supposed to wait for God. Y'all, they're supposed to wait. So the art for this is like a Spartan warrior that is getting ready to fight for God. God ain't asked you to go to war. He ain't asked you to go to war. And they are out here, spiritual warriors. You know what this is giving? This is giving people that are extremely traumatized, but they're not allowed to acknowledge their trauma because maybe the trauma came from the church, or the church doesn't believe in trauma or mental health. So they have to rationalize it with these new age concepts like spiritual demons, rather than this person's a fucking narcissist. Their podcast is this weird combination of mental health that nobody's allowed to talk about using new age terms and religion. I think they're really talking about their mental health issues, but they can't do it. So they do it under the guise of religion, and it ends up turning into the craziest podcast you've ever heard. So you remember I said that this was on the Preparing a People Network. Well, guess what? It's time for the Preparing a People Conference, and that is exactly where Lori and her friends go to find fellow spiritual warriors that are also fans of their podcast and connect with God. So, in 2018, Lori goes to the convention with her friend Melanie. On one of the days, she ends up going to a panel where this guy was speaking. He was an author. He wrote apocalyptic religious military novels. Now, he wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but he was on stage and everyone was listening. He introduced himself and his name was Chad Daybell. And Chad was up there talking about his books, talking about his beliefs, and talking about everything. And there's a moment where Lori's listening to this guy, and I can only imagine that him talking just slowly turned into womp, 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 because Lori's eyes lit up. This was her man. This was her God warrior. Oh my God. He's here. He has finally been sent. Now remember, Lori has been married 4 times. She is not afraid of divorce and she's not afraid of love. And with Chad Daybell, it was practically love at first sight. Lori went up and introduced herself right away to Chad. Now, if you're listening on audio, you may not know what Chad and Lori look like. I implore you to look it up. But let me give you a little bit of a description. Chad Daybell is a frumpy man with an interesting head shape. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like his head shape is like a rectangle inside of a rectangle inside of a rectangle. He has the most textbook military buzz cut I've ever seen in my life. Like even the length that I'm looking at in this photo, I'm like, holy shit. That's a military buzz cut. He's got nice teeth. Other than that, he kind of just looks like a sad pastor. He's giving sad pastor vibes. Or you know what? He dresses like a pastor, but he doesn't have the conviction in him to be a pastor. I'm actually seeing more like Usher here. Maybe Usher. Okay? And then Lori, disclaimer, she's a fucking monster, but she's a pretty woman. So I'm gonna use that description because I'm making a point here. Lori is an older woman that takes really good care of herself, okay? Most people in California or Utah, they would look at her and say, that is a very pretty lady. She's got blonde hair that's dyed pretty well, touched up. It's got nice layers in it. She's got pretty teeth. She's got a little shimmery pink lipstick on. She's got blue eyes, a little mascara. All of her facial features are all in the right place. Got a little Botox, a little something done. But Lori's taking care of herself. I'm gonna make some assumptions here, but walk with me. So when these two people meet at the Preparing a People conference, Lori is going into it like, oh, I like you. And Chad is looking at her like, are you talking to me? This man can't believe this pretty woman is talking to him, okay? And this is really, really, really important. I know here, I don't want to call a murderer pretty. I don't want to call a child pretty, but I have to for the context of the story because I think it plays a major role in it. People at the conference said, including Lori's best friend Melanie, that she was flirting with Chad. When she walked up, she was not just inquiring about the book. She was flirting. And Chad, he's actually married. But also, you want to talk to me right now? Oh my gosh, tell me more about this book. I want to know more. And he's like, well, yeah. So what is Chad gonna do in this moment? He's gonna put it on. He's gonna put on the confidence, you know? This woman has approached him. She's clearly interested. He's down. He almost can't even believe this is happening. This doesn't sound very Christ-like to me. This doesn't sound like a religious conference when two married people are walking up to each other trying to figure out what each other's genitals look like. That's not very Christ-like to me. Also, Spotify listeners, nothing has changed. Rate the podcast 5 stars, but if you're watching on YouTube, yes, this is day 2. I had to turn the lights on for my own sanity. It was very spooky in the beginning. I hope it felt spooky. Okay, so before we get to these two adulterers, who is Chad Daybell? And more specifically, who is Chad Guy Daybell? That's right. His full legal name is Chad Guy Daybell. This is particularly funny because in American culture, the names Chad and Guy are used interchangeably to describe a kind of douchey jock guy. And that is exactly the opposite of who Chad was. In this case, I stumbled on this news article that was from a very reputable source, and it says, from an early age, Chad was into apocalyptic thinking. Many of his writings were fixated on the idea of life and death. And I thought this was really interesting because I don't think most children are just born into the world like, when will I die? I must write about this. To me, if a child is obsessed with life and death, there's some type of influence. A pretty rational explanation for a child constantly thinking of this is, okay, well, they were raised in the church and there's heaven and hell. Okay, there we go. Life and death, good and bad, good and evil, blah, blah, blah. Maybe this kid was just really into it. But this is what I thought was really interesting. I generally put my opinions at the end, but I'm going to insert my thoughts on it here while also telling you exactly what happened. Here are some details from Chad's childhood. One, when he was in 4th grade, he wrote a novel, and it was called The Murder of Dr. J and His Assistant. This story was about somebody younger killing an older man. His teacher said that it was a fun but gruesome story, and they praised his creativity. So from an early age, and I mean 4th grade, Chad was writing stories about killing older men. In his memoir, which Chad actually has a memoir, by the way, he talks about this one story. And it's a story where he was so mad at the world one day that he started killing bees. Here's a quote from his book. I spotted another one, then another one. I got a strange satisfaction from it. I kept count. And after half an hour, I had killed 120 bees. But he said he stopped when he heard a voice. And this voice whispers and shouts instructions in his ear. Sometimes very specific militaristic instructions, commands. And he calls it the voice. Okay, I'm not gonna insert too much of my opinion here. I'm going to take those facts and hand them to you, and I want you to tell me what you think. Chad grew up in the church ever since he was a little boy, and from a young age, he started writing stories about killing older men, and then he starts killing animals. I'm sorry, a bee is essentially, if you are killing bees and you're killing 120 bees, you basically are killing animals. That is an animal killer trait, okay? So my question is, what is Chad so mad about? And what happened to Chad Daybell? Once again, this story as a whole, we are talking about child killers. They are people that killed children. That is what Lori and Chad are. But my job here is to dig into the past and figure out what makes a child killer. And so I leave the ball in your court on that. Personally, I think something happened to Chad that he never dealt with, and everyone either minimized or told him it didn't happen, and he created a lot of internalized anger and rage, and that is who he is. So through school, after the 4th grade, Chad writes more and more stories, and he ends up getting compliments on a regular basis about his writing. So he goes to school for journalism. While he's attending Brigham Young University, he ends up meeting his wife, Tammy, named Tammy Douglas. They said that she caught his eye immediately. Bro, Tammy is a little cutie, a little baddie, okay? There's actually quite a few pictures of them when they were younger, and Chad, you know what? Chad actually looked like he was quite enamored with Tammy, and she was definitely in love with him. In her younger pictures and then her most up-to-date pictures, there was one trait about Tammy that is always consistent and very adorable, and it's her smile. She had this very cute, like, just very sweet. I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like her whole personality was right there in that smile. And I've seen people like this before, and Tammy was one of them. She just looks like she's Miss Fix It, let's do it, let's put a smile on her face, let's go. She just has this really sweet energy in every single one of her photos. Chad and Tammy were actually perfect for each other because not only were they studious and religious, but also they both had a little bit of a dark side. After graduating, Chad went on his mission. Afterwards, he came home and he got a job as a graveyard digger and a cemetery sexton, which basically means he runs the cemetery. He went on a religious mission with his church, and then right afterwards came home and started working in a graveyard. This is okay, but there's a darkness to it. If a girl that you know has been alt for most of her life, and then she has to go on this trip with her church when she's 18 and she comes back and works in a graveyard, weirdly normal, I get it. But for Chad Daybell, a guy who was like, I'm religious, I'm a religious man, I'm reporting to the church, da-da-da-da, him getting a job in a graveyard is a little dark. And Tammy actually worked a job in the parks department, and she would deliver burial reports to the graveyard. So Chad and Tammy were a husband and wife couple that were working together in the graveyard. I think that is just so interesting for people with these strong religious backgrounds. Like, sure, the church needs a gravedigger, but he wasn't doing this for the church. He went to a cemetery and wanted to be around dead people. To wrap all of this up in a bow, if you're thinking, okay, they worked in a cemetery together, who cares? Or, oh, she was working in another department that just had to deliver stuff to the cemetery, who cares? You're reading too much into it. Okay, well, get this. They took their engagement photos in the cemetery. These two liked a little bit of darkness, and Chad certainly did. But they continue on to live a normal life, and they end up having 5 children. Tammy is kind of a you know, stay-at-home mom and a homemaker, but she eventually gets a job as a computer teacher. She was very forward-thinking, very, very smart, and just very connected to kids. I mean, shit, she's got 5 of her own. Chad, who has always been a writer, wants to continue to pursue that passion, and Tammy helps him out. They end up forming the Spring Creek Book Company, and now, with their newly formed publishing company, Chad hits the gas on his books. Do you remember when I said earlier that when Lori got this podcast, this form of media, her delusions blossomed because it was an echo chamber? Well, Chad was always in his room writing apocalyptic religious novels. But now he's a published author and he's getting praise for it. He's now getting praise for his delusions. Now, he's a religious writer, but his main focus is not just on religion. It's actually on preparing for the end of days. His books were loosely based on the Church of Latter-day Saints, but his friend Morgan said, quote, Chad had this belief that some people who were on this earth weren't really the people they were supposed to be. They were zombies, and their souls had left them. Chad thought that evilness took over people's bodies, and the only way to release their spirits to heaven was to kill the bodies. Later, when asked about his books, Chad Daybell said, and I quote, I don't fictionalize any of the events portrayed in my books. I'm not really that creative. My torn veil allows information to be downloaded into my brain from the other side. A couple of things here. I don't think Chad is as delusional as Lori. I think he's a bit delusional, and I think he's pretty grandiose. The line, my torn veil allows information to be downloaded into my brain from the other side, implies that he thinks that he's special, he thinks he's superior. It's also pretty narcissistic, pretty grandiose. I would like to just point out that Lori doesn't really have a history of thinking God is transmitting messages to her. She's looking for the messages from God. But Chad is so egotistical and self-important that he believes he is the savior. He is the one receiving the messages. It is him. He is special. So they're both fairly delusional, but there's a difference in it. I hope this makes sense. He was not a successful writer, but he was a niche writer. And in October of 2018, he was invited as a speaker and an author to the Preparing a People's Conference. And that is where he met Lori Vallow, right there when he was on stage. These two do not waste any time. They immediately go into full affair mode. Also, mind you, I think this is probably a full-blown limerent affair. If you haven't heard of that before, it's two people in a state of limerence that become obsessed with each other. It can be very intense. It can be very emotional. There's a sense of longing there. And you don't have to have any type of mental diagnosis to be in a state of limerence. You don't have to have any type of personality disorder, no anything. Anybody can experience a state of limerence when there is a limiting situation and an object that they want on the other side. Longing is a very, very intense emotion, especially when the object of the desire is right in front of you, but there's a couple of invisible barriers. And that's what this affair felt like for the two of them. They loved being in each other's company. It was exciting. Every time they hung out, there was dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit, whether they were talking on the phone, whether they were messaging each other, whether they were seeing each other in person. But here's the thing, they're not really talking about how much they like each other first. They're not talking about that at all because they can't. It would be sinful. Instead, they're talking about religious concepts. But their religious concepts are not based in just religion. They are not talking about the scripture. They're talking about their version of the scripture. And so what is this, now that we've gone through both of their backgrounds? Lori's version of the scripture is she's a traumatized person that uses a lot of New Age language, loves New Age stuff, loves the spiritual demon shit. Give me all you got. Unload your full God clip into me. I'm fucking here for it. Gimme, gimme, gimme. And then Chad's form of scripture delusion is homicide and the end of the world, okay? They are not talking about the Bible, but they're pretending like they're talking about the Bible and flirting. And I don't know if I've explained this well enough that you guys can like see what was happening here, but I've watched hours of documentaries about this. I've watched so many hours of like their interviews, how they speak, their past life, their everything, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to just straight up say, these were two horny people people that were really into each other and they wanted to fuck, but they couldn't talk about it, so they were just constantly talking about God. This happens later in the relationship, but I just need to tell it to you now so that you know what I know, where I'm at. Here's an example from the research of things that they would say that make me think they're just horny for each other, okay? This information came from Melanie Gibb, who was Lori's best friend. She told everything to, and Melanie ratted her out later because she was not Christ-like, even though this was her podcast host. Chad and Lori both believed in reincarnation, and Chad told her one time that he had lived 31 previous lives on different planets, and Lori had lived 21 separate lives, 5 of which coincided with his life and experience on Earth. Bro, that's his way of saying we were married in another life. I think we were married in another life. Have you ever really liked someone before and thought, I think I knew you in another life, or I think I was with you in another life? That is not some spiritual religious shit. That is something we say to a dude we really like when we're 17, okay? And that's what they were saying to each other. They are saying crush level stuff to each other and then wrapping it up into religion. But they are not secretive about this. In fact, they can't hold it in. This is a very emotional thing that they are just so obsessed with each other. To the point that Melanie, the best friend, steps in and she actually suggested to Lori and Chad that they needed to divorce their spouses because their connection was too intense. Not that Melanie felt like they needed to be together and this was the right thing. She was like, you guys are cheating and I cannot watch this. So if you guys really want to be together, then you guys need to divorce your spouses. That's what Melanie was saying. Melanie told the press later on that Lori believed that she and Chad were sealed due to their past lives, and it didn't matter if both of their spouses were alive. They were meant to be. He is really calling her crush stuff under the guise of spirituality, and Lori loves spirituality. Chad also told Lori that she was not allowed to talk about any of their private conversations because this was information that he was receiving from beyond the veil. God, please tell me somebody sees what I see and we're on the same page about this. Wrapping crush stuff and romantic stuff into the guise of spirituality, and we're feeding it to a woman that wants nothing more than the love of a man and the love of God. I also kind of think that Chad realized all of this stuff was working and this hot woman is eating it up and coming closer and closer to him. Like, this is feeding into his ego, this is feeding into her delusions. This is truly, genuinely, truly a match made in hell. The fact that these two people met is so strange, so unique, and so should have never happened. So 4 months after Lori meets Chad, things start to get very dark. Lori and Chad start to do what they call energy work to get rid of people's evil spirits. Lori would tell Melanie later that she firmly believed that the only way to get rid of a zombie or a spiritual demon, somebody that's controlled by an evil spirit, is to destroy the person's body. I believe that Lori fully believed this, and I think that Chad fully manipulated her. But don't get me wrong, Lori is no saint here because remember, her roots are in being religious and being a good servant. And here she is having an affair. That doesn't have anything to do with her delusions. So there's a part of me that really feels like Chad manipulated Lori using spirituality, but the lack of morals for Lori were always there. Now, do you want to know how fast all of this was moving? The Preparing a People conference was in the beginning of October. And on October 30th at 11 a.m., Chad Daybell sent this email to Lori. The email says, "Here are the family history documents you requested." Next, there's a title, and it says, "Family history information." When I hear the words family history information, I'm thinking genealogy report. I'm thinking something legit, something real, something that's based on familial DNA, something, right? History implies factual. Information implies factual. What he sends are the light and dark spirit ratings for different people and how they're measured. So the email starts with him explaining how people are measured on a light and dark scale. For example, he says, most LDS members are a level 2. Most bishops and ward leaders are a level 3. Most stake presidents and general authorities are a 4. The apostles are a 5. A few level 6. The dark side can only match the light numbers, not exceed them. And there's not a whole lot of 5s on Earth right now. It limits the dark's power. So he's presenting one of the most fucking insane things I've ever seen in my life to a woman that's like super, super delusional. So he sends off like kind of a guide to how to read this. And then next, he sends ratings, light and dark ratings for Lori's family. First person listed is Alex Cox, her brother. Lori's light rating is a 4.3, even though he told her there's not many 5s on Earth. He's inflating her ego by rating her a 4.3 in the light. Her past husband was a 2L. Oh, her second husband, he was a 2D. He was dark. And then also, Chad Daybell has taken the liberty to give lightness and darkness ratings to Lori's children. Lori's first son, Colby, gets a 3L light rating, above the average Latter-day Saint. And then Tylee Ryan, her second child, her biological daughter, gets a 4.1 on the dark scale. This man that Lori trusts and believes has just told her that her daughter is evil. And not only that, but according to this scale, she is so evil that she may never come to light. This is pretty scary for Lori. Now, there's a few other people on this list, but another one that's really interesting is JJ Vallow, her adopted son. He receives a 4.2 light rating. Within less than 30 days of meeting, Chad Daybell is grading her family and her soon-to-be missing children, and she's not batting an eye. So this is the moment that I'm going to tell you to completely take your empathy cap off for Lori, if you ever had one, which, by the way, I know some of y'all ain't ever had one. Y'all said child killer, send her to the grave, you know? Which, totally, I'm there with you. I'm just trying to do my job here on Sinister. So I'm reminding you, if you have felt like Lori was a mentally ill woman that was taken advantage of up until this point, I'm right there with you. But this is the moment that my empathy cap is completely coming off and it's going in the garbage, because ain't no man that I done known for a couple weeks gonna tell me my daughter's bad. You ain't gonna tell me anything about my family and my children and what I should do with them. So this is the moment that Lori, for me, has gone from human to bad, bad mom, and soon, child killer. And I will not stop calling Lori Vallow a child killer, because that's what she is. Just a heads up, guys, we normally do not have 3 sponsors on the video, but this week our production line got a little bit messed up. So one more, but thank God it's a good one. Look, you guys already know, if you've been watching Sinister for a while, I love ZocDoc, okay? I tell you guys all the time about how I've used it in my daily life, how it saved me so much time, and honestly, stress. Now, look, last week, some of you guys know, I've had some like medical issues with my skin, and the other day, I saw this mole that had to go. And my doctor couldn't get me in, and I'm not kidding you guys. I booked an appointment on ZocDoc, and the next day, I had this mole removed. Hold on, I gotta get it.
Loading fresh neck.
Yep. We're not playing around, and neither is ZocDoc. Listen, if you don't know what it is, it's an app or a website, however you want to use it, where you can find 5-star doctors in your area that take your insurance within a reasonable time frame. And the best part is, you don't even have to pick up the phone. You can book your appointments all within the app. You can find appointments weeks out, next week, sometimes even in 48 or 72 hours. And if you're lucky, or you're like, in a high population area like LA, you can get a next day. Here's the best part. After I made this appointment and had this doctor take care of me, they became my new dermatologist. I'm not kidding. I found my most recent dermatologist off of ZocDoc. I'm so, so happy to have them as a sponsor, and I'm also happy to share it with you guys, because I really genuinely believe this is the future. No more picking up the phone. Do you take my insurance? Here's my code, blah, 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 blah. Nope. You just type it all in on the app. And I think this is something we've all needed for a long time. Take care of yourself, take care of your health, and try ZocDoc. And don't forget, you guys can help us out a little bit, because ZocDoc is free, but if you use our code, ZocDoc.com/sinister, let them know where you came from. Once again, it's ZocDoc.com/sinister, a sponsor that I literally am using week over week. This spiritual work, this energy work, this affair, to be blunt, went on from October all the way until January, when Charles Vallow, Lori's current husband, started to feel unsafe. Her religious delusions had gone absolutely haywire. I mean, think about it. She's still doing the weekly podcast. Now it's been going on for even longer. She has just got back from the Preparing a People's Conference back in the fall. And now, unbeknownst to Charles, the craziest man that anyone has ever met is whispering in his wife's ear. And honestly, you know, all the people said, oh, they were never having an affair. They never did anything. Shut up. Shut up. Allegedly, do I have to say, I have to say allegedly because this wasn't in the court documents. They were fucking. These people were fucking. These people, spiritual demons, y'all was having a spiritual affair. Like, y'all really were, and pretending to talk about some Jesus, talking about some God, whatever, and then locking lips right afterwards. Lori's delusion brain is absolutely juiced up. And her husband, Charles, rightfully so, is scared. Lori has been calling herself a god lately. Chad probably told her that she was some queen that should be on his arm. She's a god, he's a god, da da da. And Lori's believing it. She has gone from being a faithful servant to now she believes that she is a god. And she is also receiving messages from beyond the veil. Not like Chad does, but she does receive it. She also starts to accuse her husband, Charles Vallow, that she has been married to for almost 20 years, of being a man named Nick Schneider, and threatened to kill him. She said that he wasn't really Charles. He was actually Nick Schneider, trying to trick her, and she would kill him, and he wasn't gonna get away with this. Charles is scared. He calls the police. He tries to get an order of protection for himself as well as for JJ. He's worried about JJ. He's worried about Tylee. And, you know, his body cam footage when he first called Lori is online. And he looks incredibly concerned. This woman that he's loved for many years and thought that he knew is starting to change. And unbeknownst to him, it's because of this very strong outside influence. On the day that Lori is supposed to be served the order of protection, she disappears. She is nowhere to be found. She's never able to be served. This is another moment that we really throw away our empathy cap for Lori because she knew this order of protection was coming because of her own actions and she ran from it. Do with that what you will. Charles is so scared that he actually pulls JJ out of school. He was at a place called the Life Academy in Gilbert, Arizona, and he actually was getting special treatment for his autism, and this was a really important school because this place finally worked for him. But he did not want to take him out of the school, but kind of felt like he had to for safety. And then he ends up moving them to Houston, Texas. But not too long after, he moves back to Arizona because Lori reaches out and they reconcile. The reconciliation doesn't last for long because in July of 2019, Charles goes to pick up JJ from Lori. Remember, they both adopted him. Like, they both have custody. And while this is happening, Charles gets into a fight with Lori's brother, Alex, and then suddenly, Charles ends up dead. There's also a body cam video of this, too. It's very, very strange, and one of the strongest pieces of evidence in how far gone Lori was. Lori goes out to talk to the police, and they ask her what happened. She sits there, arms folded, kind of just mouth off to the side, sunglasses on, looking bothered by the police, asking about the death of her husband. She just looks like this is an inconvenience to her. I believe that this happened because Lori believes everything that Chad has told her. She believes that what she's doing is righteous. She believes that this is what God wants, and these humans being confused doesn't matter. So we get this really nasty attitude from her, but eventually the police choke out what happened. And supposedly, Charles, who's literally never done anything wrong, came to pick up JJ and something happened and he attacked Lori. He came after her and then her brother had to come out and shoot him. They claim it was self-defense and a brother was just protecting his little sister from her evil husband. And they actually walk in and see Charles's body on the ground. He is dead. He has been shot multiple times. They call it as self-defense. And very quickly, you know, over the next couple of weeks, the case is closed. But on that same day, Lori does a couple of strange things. One, she doesn't tell anybody for hours. She also didn't call the police for quite a while. She goes to JJ's school to pick him up and tells everyone that Charles has just killed himself. That's what she says. That's what she tells people. Right after they have killed them, she goes and tells people that man who took his own life. After Charles's death in July of 2019, things began to move very, very quickly. And everything really happens in August, because in August of 2019, Lori decided to relocate to a new home that just happened to be a lot closer to Chad Daybell. Then, on August 9th, 2019, Lori Vallow put JJ's fully trained service dog, Bailey, on sale for $2,500. Just a few days after Lori sent the email saying that JJ would not be returning for the school year, on September 8th, 2019, Lori, JJ, Tylee, and her brother Alex decided to take a trip to Yellowstone Park. No one knows exactly what happened on this Yellowstone trip, but I'm not going to leave this up to mystery. It's suspected later that Alex is basically the hitman for Lori Vallow, and that evidence will come up a little bit more later. It was presented through the evidence that Lori and Chad manipulated Alex, Lori's older brother, into killing people for them because they were never going to do it themselves. So, keeping that in mind, information that came from the trial later, on this date, September 8th, 2019, Lori, her brother, and the two children go to Yellowstone Park. After this, only Lori, JJ, and Alex come back home. Tylee, the daughter, is nowhere to be found. Lori will never say what happened on that day. Alex, the brother, will never say what happened on that day. But what we do know is just a few months later, Tylee's body was found in Chad Daybell's backyard. They killed her that day. Nobody knows how. We really don't know why. But what horrifies me is that if they killed this child at Yellowstone Park, as the prosecution argues, then that means that JJ was still alive, and they took Tylee's body and put it in the car with the boy, and they drove him there. That's what that means. So a lot of times when people talk about the Lori Vallow story, they do the part where they say, and then they went to Yellowstone Park, and Tylee never came back, and months later she was found in the backyard. I want you to know, like, what happened on this day. They killed the child and put her back in the car so that she could be buried at Chad's house while JJ was still probably in the car. So now, it has been less than a year since Lori and Chad have met, and Lori's husband is dead, and now Tylee is dead. Nobody can find her, but you and I know, because I'm telling you this story now that the case is pretty much closed. Tylee is dead. And you're not going to believe what happens in October. And guess what? Neither did Tammy Daybell. On October 9th, 2019, Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife, calls 911 and reports that a man dressed in black clothing and a ski mask shot at her multiple times. That was on October 9th, 2019. That same person came back again, and this time, Tammy died. Exactly 10 days after Tammy reported an initial shooting and threat on her life, she was found dead in her home. The report said that she died peacefully in her sleep of natural causes. For some reason, maybe per the spouse's request, an autopsy was never performed. I find it very strange that an autopsy was never performed on a healthy 49-year-old woman who dies in her own home. Another weird thing that happens in the month of October. Lori ends up getting very close to her niece. Her niece's name is Melanie. Keep in mind, this is different than her best friend named Melanie. This is Melanie with just an I, not an IE. I know, I told you, if I use all the names, it gets very confusing. So I'll reference her as the niece. Lori ends up getting very, very close with her niece. And, you know, her niece is kind of leaning on her like, oh, cool, older auntie. But, like, then she starts to realize that her aunt is, like, a little weird and pretty religious and also a little delusional. But the reason why her niece was leaning on her was because her relationship was ending. Her niece was going through a very serious divorce. She was married to this guy named Brandon. They had a bad falling out. Brandon was very close to people in the Latter-day Saint Church. He actually was even the person that baptized Tylee into the LDS when she was 8 years old. So Lori is getting close with her niece, and her niece is divorcing this guy who was pretty close in the community. Well, this is so strange. When the niece starts venting about her ex-husband to Lori, somebody shows up and tries to kill the ex-husband. Lori told her that he had a pretty high dark energy rating, and next thing you know, somebody shot him when he was leaving home from the gym. The bullet shattered his window and missed his head by a couple of inches. But oh my God, something actually happened before October. It just kind of has had a huge question mark. JJ Vallow is nowhere to be seen. Remember, nobody has seen Tylee since early September when they went to Yellowstone. She is, as we know now, she's dead. Then, in early September, Lori emailed saying that JJ wouldn't be coming back to school and then sold his service dog for $2,500, by the way. And then he ends up missing in September as well. JJ would also later be found in Chad Daybell's backyard. So let me be super, super clear. These two met in October of 2018. By October of 2019, 4 people were dead. Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow's husband, Tylee, Lori's daughter, JJ, Lori's son, and Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife. After all of this darkness, we finally get a little bit of good news in November 2019, because Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, who are both now widowed, decide to get married in beautiful Hawaii. What's interesting is this place in Hawaii was a very special place for Lori. It's a place that she used to go when she was a child. It's kind of like a safe space or a happy place for her. And she decided to share that with this man that she had known for just about a year. They didn't decide to just get married in this place. They were going to set up shop for a little bit. Chad sent an email to a realtor before they even got there that says, would the owners be interested in leasing this property to a clean couple with no pets or children? Mind you, the news, the church, the family and friends, they do not know that JJ and Tylee are now deceased. At this point, November 2019, the children are just missing. What I've told you is what kind of happens later when the bodies are discovered, but I'm telling you this story from the point of view of a timeline. They get married in 2019, and nobody knows where the children are. All they see are Lori and Chad smiling on the beach, taking engagement photos. Now, they were married on November 5th, 2019. Tammy Daybell was murdered October 19th. 2019. They got married just 2 weeks after Chad's wife died. And 3 weeks prior to Tammy's death, Lori Vallow bought her own wedding ring off of Amazon, which can actually be seen in the photos. Not only did Lori buy her own wedding ring, but she bought it 3 weeks before Chad's wife was murdered. Now, the pastor is not the only person at this wedding handing out blessings. Chad is also handing out blessings. Why is that? Because Chad has an ego.
I call in herp bombing. Hero kills. One dude throws thermite, not thermite, but Semtex out on kills 3 of us.
Friendly mosquito deployed.
Oh, and he thinks that he has some kind of spiritual gifts of the highest order. And I need you to picture this. Lori and Chad sitting on a beach in marital bliss with their legs and looking spiritual and powerful like they had accomplished something. Okay, that's the scene. This is what Chad said to Alex, Lori's brother. He said Alex had assisted him in ways that can, quote, never be repaid. Chad then called Alex a prophet and a hero and predicted that he would have a future as the messenger of the Lord. Chad is manipulating people using spirituality. So in this case, he is literally telling Alex, thank you so much for doing that really bad thing. I can literally never repay you, but I will call in a favor to God and ask him to make you a messenger, a spiritual messenger, and make you important. Okay, cool. Like, as though Chad has that type of fucking power, but he's preying on Lori's spirituality and also Alex's spirituality. I mean, Alex isn't as delusional as Lori, but he is her brother, and he was also up in that church 5 days a week in the morning. God is very important to them, and Chad is saying that he is a spiritual figure that is connected directly to God, and they are listening because they are lost. Also, I don't know if I told you this, there's so many details in this case, and I try to keep it to what helps you follow the story, but look, this is a big one too. Chad Daybell arranged Alex's marriage. Alex was married to this woman for not very long, but Chad actually picked Alex's wife. He said, yes, I think this woman will serve you. And guess who Chad picked? a woman that worshipped him. So Chad hooked up Lori's brother, aka his hitman, with a woman that worshipped Chad. So,
this is so complicated.
okay. So, anyways, while Chad is on the beach spewing this bullshit to Lori's brother, guess who's back home calling the police? The kid's grandma, Lori's mom. Remember I told you about her, Janice, the super religious lady that likes to look nice? Well, the children have been missing for a very long time now, and so finally, the grandma calls the police and says, I can't find Lori's children, and she won't tell me where they are. She won't tell me anything. The police, the first thing they're gonna do is call up Lori and say like, hey, where are your kids? Lori, the first thing she does is she calls up Melanie, best friend from the podcast, and she asks Melanie to lie and say that she had JJ. If Melanie, a little delusional herself, because she was on the Preparing the People pod, you know, she's a little out there, but she's not a liar, and she's not gonna lie about missing children, so she doesn't, and she's not going to. The police demand that Lori Vallow produces her children that have been missing for months, and when she can't, the authorities go to arrest her, and Lori and Chad go on the run. In November of 2019, Lori and Chad go on the run, and authorities immediately go to her apartment and execute a search warrant. They discover that she and Chad have just gone somewhere in Idaho. They start talking to people, and this is when Melanie, bestie from the podcast, she starts spilling every crazy thing that Lori has said in the past couple weeks. She's telling the police that Lori had told friends that her children were zombies. The only way to free their soul from evil spirits was to kill them. She was here's another issue that I have with the religion not wanting to believe in mental health. Lori was talking to people about killing their children, but because she was talking about it through a spiritual lens and people in religion are scared of mental illness, they didn't do anything. The only person that did something was Charles Vallow. He tried to divorce Lori. He tried to file the protective order. He moved the children out of state to get away with her because he took her delusion seriously. And while Lori sat here telling other people that she was going to kill the children, nobody fucking did anything. Now, November 2019, the police are looking for Tylee and JJ Vallow. Lori and Chad have gone on the run, and now they are looking through her house for more information to find out where they are. But another thing is, they're starting to not believe that Tammy Daybell died peacefully in her sleep. So they exhume the body, and the autopsy finds that she did not die of natural causes. She was asphyxiated. When Alex, Lori's big brother, finds out that they have exhumed the body and they have a proper autopsy, he starts to panic. Remember I said that he was married to one of Chad's loyal followers? It was a woman named Zaluma. And Zaluma starts to ask questions after she finds out through the town that Tammy Daybell was actually also murdered. So Zaluma also thinks this is sketchy, but she asked Alex, like, hey, can you tell me, like, what's going on with Lori and Chad? Like, you're always over there, you're always talking to them, like, everyone's dying. Tell me something. And Alex tells her, like, I can't tell you anything. He kind of just locks up. He actually is getting extremely stressed, extremely worried. But he did tell Zaluma, quote, I think I'm being their fall guy. And she said, fall guy for what? What have you done that you would be the fall guy? And she said, I kept pressuring him because he wasn't answering me. Alex is just losing his mind, spinning his wheels, not communicating with his wife. Granted, this is his new wife and it's an arranged marriage. But he's kind of spinning his wheels and he's like, I think I'm the fall guy. I think I'm the fall guy. I think I'm the fall guy. And then boom, in December of 2019, Alex also ends up dead. 1 month later, January 2020, as you guys may know, something interesting is coming, the pandemic. But also, the police have been looking for the children since November of last year. It has been over 2 months, okay? 60 days for missing children? No, the police are not playing around anymore, and they demand that Lori Vallow show her children. She's claiming that they're still alive. She's claiming they're still fine. And the police say, you need to produce the children right now. and she doesn't. So finally, Lori has violated a court order. Lori's oldest son, Colby, has been mostly staying out of things. He's talking with family, he's worried about their kids, but he really trusts his mom. He also doesn't really understand why all of this is happening. Also, I'm not inferring this. He speaks very, very, very candidly in the Netflix documentary, and he also had an entire YouTube channel dedicated to his thoughts here. Because in January of 2020, CoD starts putting out these YouTube videos to his mom where he is begging her to show the children, come home. Where are they? Nobody in Lori's family believes that the children could have passed, even though that's what a lot of people in the community think, because they feel like they know Lori really well and she could have never have done this. Even months after the children were just gone, Lori's mom still went on like TV interviews saying Lori would have never done this. This never happened. This never, ever, ever would. We don't know where the kids are, but we want to see them and we know they're fine. That's basically what they went out there and said. In one of the videos, CoD pleads with her saying, Mom, this can end. This is not okay. This is not cool. Even if you just show them on FaceTime. Just show them on FaceTime to the police. It would be a lot better. I know that you have a good heart, so I know it's time to do the right thing. This is like all really strange. Like her family really did 100% believe that Lori did not have the capacity to do anything like this. And they thought that she just wasn't showing them for some reason. So they were like, please, just show the children. Now, the family may not believe that anything has happened to the children, but the police know a murder case when they see one, and they are all in on it. By February 2020, Lori Vallow Daybell had been arrested. And by May of 2020, Lori and Chad were officially charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. These charges were for the children, and Chad and Lori were told, we're gonna assume that you killed them, and we will charge you with murder if you do not produce the children. And they didn't, therefore, they were charged with murder. However, Chad was also charged with the murder of Tammy Daybell, and then Lori was charged with conspiracy to murder for Charles Vallow. And then, 1 month later, JJ and Tylee's bodies were officially found. JJ's body had been found in a tightly wrapped piece of black plastic that was covered in duct tape. These two went through insane lengths to cover it up. They put him under the topsoil, under a patch of grass, under 3 large flat rocks, and then under the rocks there was wood paneling, and then a layer of plastic. And underneath all of that was Lori Vallow's son. For Tylee, when they were looking for her body, they found the body of a cat, and they found the body of a dog. It was a pet cemetery, and then they found a melted bucket, and then half of a human skull. As they continued to dig, they found other body parts because Tylee, after her trip at Yellowstone Park, had been dismembered. Tylee's story is exceptionally sad because none of her friends ever got an explanation or an ending for months. Tylee's friends thought that she just stopped talking to them. They didn't know that she had been dismembered by her mother and she was dead. They thought the friendship was over. Now, I've given you a few of my opinions here and there, but I promise you these are supported by different pieces of evidence throughout the trial. I've just had to insert it throughout the story so that you and I are on the same page. Okay, remember when I said Lori was a severely mentally ill woman, extremely delusional and deep in religious fanaticism? The courts ruled that she was incompetent to stand trial based on her mental health. Guys, criminal defense attorneys dream of having them, of like courts accepting their client's mentally ill plea. It never happens. Carly Gregg, she shot her mother and then tried to kill her dad, and they were like, no, she can stand trial. God, I could name 1,000 cases where people are like, no, I'm very, very sick, like I can't stand trial, and the court's like, you're fucking fine, get in there. With Lori, no. They talked to her and she was gone. Just completely in the world of delusion. She actually was told she could not go to trial yet because she was not okay. She needed to be medicated. She needed to be talked out of these delusions. Like, she was severely mentally ill. And I mean, Chad just made it 80 times worse. Now, as for Chad, he was not only competent to stand for trial, but in August 2021, the court said, let's give him the death penalty. Chad's crimes are so severe that he was up for the death penalty. The media hits and they pull out every salacious thing that they possibly can. Evil mom, doomsday work, and spiritual demons, preparing a people, all this stuff. And also, Chad actually had a couple people that were following him around. I mean, it was like a mini cult, but Chad was just not very charismatic. He was just a delusional writer. He told his followers that the world was going to end on July 22nd, 2020. This is how I know that Chad was a horrible cult leader, because that date is way too soon, okay? Like, it was too soon. But you know what? You know what's crazy about this? You all know what was happening in February 2020. The pandemic. Lori was in jail, getting arrested February, March, or whatever, and then the pandemic hits. And what pisses me off so much is, you know, she was like, it's happening. It's beginning. She was in her jail cell counting down the days until her baby daddy prophecy was going to come true. July 22nd, 2020. That bothers me so much. That's probably why they couldn't stabilize her either, because she thought this date was coming. July 22nd, 2020. The media and the defense start to argue that it is actually a serious case of manipulation and possibly even brainwashing. Chad used what he learned from previously being in a cult and took advantage of Lori's overly religious nature. Personally, I can see a combination of the two, because Chad was an egotistical weirdo who had fantasies about homicide. That's what all his books were. They were religious death fantasies. Then Lori, who not only has a strong history of illusions, was just desperate for a man's love. Again. The trial for Lori and Chad started in April of 2023, and a laundry list of crucial information came out. One, there was an aspect of financial gain. Chad and Lori stood to gain significant amounts of money from the death of their spouses, over $1 million. Secondly, Lori Vallow's older brother, Alex, who is now deceased, his cell phone pinged in the back of Chad Daybell's backyard for 2 hours on the day that Tylee disappeared after the Yellowstone trip. Just a little bit after Alex's phone pinged to that area, Chad sent a text message to Tammy and said, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. He was writing an excuse for why Alex was in the backyard, but also it pinged his cell phone and placed him at the scene of the crime, making it obvious that he was also involved in Tylee's murder. The lead prosecutor on this case was a guy named Rob Wood, and he stated this beautifully. He said that Lori set a plan for the children's murder in motion on October 2018, the day that she met Chad Daybell. She used money, power, and sex, while she and her husband used religion to manipulate others. The trial lasted for 6 weeks, and the jury deliberated for 4 hours on Thursday, for 2 hours on Friday, and afterwards, they found Lori Vallow guilty of killing JJ and Tylee, as well as conspiring to murder Tammy, Chad's wife. The verdict was live streamed, and Lori was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Afterwards, at her sentencing, she gave the most insane, rambling statements, saying something such as she claimed to have access to heaven and the spirit world. She said that JJ, Tylee, and Tammy were, quote, busy in the spirit world. She also said, Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered in this case. Accidental deaths happen. Suicides happen. Fatal side effects from medication happen. The judge's response, he threw the whole book at her. He said, no, you guys are full of shit. Tammy's murder was important because you wanted to get full access to Chad. You guys wanted to get married. Also, Tammy's life insurance policy was worth $500,000. You guys were gonna take the money and run with it. Also, the prosecution proved that Lori and Chad would receive the children's Social Security and survivor benefits. Chad, however, who was up for the death penalty just a few months ago, as I am recording this episode, June 1st, 2024, Chad was sentenced to death upon the recommendation of the jury. They convicted him of first-degree murder and conspiracy charges in the killing of his first wife and 2 children of his second wife. When Chad was sentenced, he just sat there with the dumbest look on his face. I really believe that this guy was a weirdo that wanted to kill people, but he was raised religious, so he didn't know what to do. Like, he is somebody that has murderous, violent fantasies, and that is everything that's written in his book. The prosecutor was right. This actually is a story about God, money, sex, and really power. The power that Chad had over Lori, the power that Lori had over her brother, the power of religion. I mean, that is everything in this story. But none of those things were supposed to exist because we're talking about religion. Religion's not supposed to have money, power, sex, none of that. But that's everything this story was. The religious part was never the important part. The religious part was the cover-up. This was a very, very murderous affair.
Jesus came to me, and he has several times since I've been in jail, but he came to me 20 days before I was arrested, and he said this, Lori, there is a purpose for your whole life. And I knew I hadn't hurt anybody. I knew I never would hurt anybody.
I can't sit here and pretend like this isn't what it is. And I hate all of it.
This is my mission, and my mission will be revealed to everybody at some point, and including you. And at that time, I just want you to know, I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm just going to say I love you.
Well, we're 19 days out from the election. I don't know that we are 19 days out from finding out who wins the election. That could be a much longer process. But I think if you want to look for polls that say your person is going to win, and I think just about everybody that's into the program wants Harris to win, or at the very least Trump to lose. You can find those polls. If you want indications as to how they are campaigning now, that they feel they're in trouble, you can also find those. Harris was on Charlemagne the God, the God, in the program, the Breakfast Morning, Breakfast Club. Yep. And some have taken that as an indication that they're worried about black voters, particularly black men voters. And we heard Obama the other day, chastise them in a way that only Obama feels like he has a license to do. His respectability politics, it brought back actually not some great memories for me. Nevertheless, so you could make that as an indication. Harris is going on, I think, Fox News today. So if you want to see indication, people are interpreting that as like maybe they're worried. Who knows?
I mean, Hillary went on the Breakfast Club. That's where she pulled the hot sauce out of her purse.
But she went on the Breakfast Club in April.
Oh, the primary. I see.
She went in the primary. Here's Sean Hannity, and this is like what's interesting is his audience is not watching the Bloomberg, the Bloomberg presentation of the Economic Club of Chicago, right? Like, I just don't think that they're like looking this stuff up. But Hannity is going to highlight this, and here's how he introduces it.
So in one of his greatest all-time moments on the campaign trail, former President Donald Trump absolutely schooled Bloomberg's editor-in-chief today during a live appearance at the Economic Club of Chicago. Despite things getting, well, a little heated at times, Trump frankly masterfully navigated the situation, laid out what was a clear vision for American prosperity. Let's take a look.
Okay, now, this is he plays a tiny clip. I want to play one or two other clips to just give you a sense, like, if he's got to play this, if he's playing this, he's doing it because he's afraid that the other people are going to see other clips. Because, I mean, this is just bat crap crazy. Trump, you know, and I understand that politicians speak out of their arcs quite a bit, but this I thought was pretty impressive.
The U.S. Justice Department is thinking about breaking up Alphabet, as Google likes to be known now. Should Google be broken up?
I just haven't gotten over something the Justice Department did yesterday, where Virginia cleaned up its voter rolls and got rid of thousands and thousands of bad votes, and the Justice Department sued them that they should be allowed to put those bad votes and illegal votes back in and let the people vote. So I haven't gotten over that. A lot of people have said that they can't even believe it.
The question is about Google, President Trump.
Yeah, look, Google's got a lot of power. They're very bad to me. Very, very bad to me. I mean, I can speak from that standpoint. They only have bad stories. In other words, if I have 20 good stories and 20 bad stories, and everyone's entitled to that, you'll only see the 20 bad stories. And I called the head of Google the other day and I said, I'm getting a lot of good stories lately, but you don't find them in Google. I think it's a whole rigged deal. I think Google's rigged just like our government is rigged.
You would break them up, in other words.
I do something, but you have to have...
I can speak from the standpoint of what they've done to me personally. I mean, honestly, like, this is a big deal. It's a big deal what we're doing with Google, and it's a big, it seems like it's a big issue, and you're going in to talk to Bloomberg News, and you would imagine that maybe this might come up, but he doesn't seem to, like, I don't need to prepare for anything. That's all I need to prepare. You need to prepare. Google? Well, I mean, this is like, I feel like I could ask my 11-year-old son, like, what should we do with Google? And be like, Google's dumb.
Take your bloody fire!
Do you want to at least hint that you're aware of the broader concerns about Google as opposed to like how many, Trump did something good stories end up on the front page?
Amazing! It's amazing. And that's only after he has to be, hey, wait a second. Why are you bringing up what the... I mean,
Justice Department, I'm just so upset about the DOJ.
The only thing I could say about his, immediately avoiding the question of the DOJ is that he wants to bring it back to the voting because they are really trying to set up the pins, essentially, for claiming that the election has been stolen. And so, there could be some method to his madness. He clearly doesn't have any awareness of this case whatsoever. But
Terminus of Ted Cruz last night upon already every answer he tied back to the invasion of illegals.
Yeah, remember Trump's 2020 election interference case? He pled not guilty, but only after making it clear that he, quote, had every right to do so. Ground News found 90 sources covering this with significantly less reporting from the right. Going through these articles, you can see there's no mention from conservative outlets of what looks like Trump's confession. Now, the left points this could be the very thing that helps Jack Smith finally convict him. This type of selective reporting is the exact problem we've been talking about with today's news. Rather than adding clarity to an already confusing election season and political landscape, the news can easily contribute to it. That's what...
We hold all objectives. Let's keep it. We've lost Alpha.
But it's also like, but a lot of them are very high on chill driving stuff. And and it all comes back to Euro and American Trump. truck simulator. It's like, okay, I get it now. Like, I get it because that is just like a shield slashing.
Enemy UAV active. Enemy currently holds all objectives. Take them back. Securing objective Bravo.
My bad. Really?
Starting coming! Take it round! Treasure mine!
That's Bobby baby in the building. Ladies and gentlemen.
Give me a little diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, that would work.
What's up? Hello, everyone. Dude, did you want me? There was a big fruit basket from Hamas last night. Did you want me to bring it in? They were really happy for all your. Just said thank you for all your hard work. You're doing such a good job.
Tasteful selection.
A lot of figs.
Did you notice that? Dates?
Yeah, dates.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do? Oh, dates.
The man can be bought easily.
Yeah.
It was like right next to your check from George Soros.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of, you're kind of getting paid from both sides.
Yeah. The RGC, Hamas, and George Soros. You know. Can you zoom out the cam to fit all the Stavi on screen? I did.
You got Felix, bro.
I did.
What's up, man?
China too, CCP.
Oh, of course, I gotta forget.
Yeah.
I gotta forget the People's Republic.
Yeah.
This is pretty good. Not too shabby.
He's good.
Yeah.
Dude, I never had like Dr. Pepper at all until like a couple months ago. And then the moment that I had it, I was like, that was it. Awesome. DNC edible arrangements got delayed. No, DNC kicked me out. They don't fool me no more because I said they should have because I said Palestinians are human.
Whoa, come on, stop being so controversial.
I know you're
man.
you're like big in the comedy scene. Like I can't be hurting you right now with this. This stuff.
I'm ready, dude.
Did you lose weight?
Plus a little bit. Couple of
Okay.
Couple of
Looking a little skinny, dude.
bad now, but that's fit nice.
Yeah. I feel you. Thing changing, dude. Losing weight. It's on the Ozempic diet.
I'm thinking about getting Ozempic, dude. Really? No. I worked out and I worked really hard for 6 months, and then I started working again, and I immediately started eating treats.
Okay, this is like this is an optic thing. But honestly, like if you lose weight, you have to like stay with at least. You have to do like Action Bronson style. Like you can't go. Of course. You can't be like skinny. Yeah, that'd be
I am
gross.
insanely fat. I literally took like 6 months and lost 40 pounds, and it like legitimately I still wear the same clothes. It just fit me correctly. I literally just want to be an extra large man. Is that so much to ask for?
Yeah.
1X? Is that crazy?
I don't think so. I feel you. I went the other, like, since the last time we talked about how fat I am, I went the complete opposite direction. I'm posting shirtless photos now. You can see the abs coming in.
I'm coming off like the fattest that was like 19. I'm coming off like the fattest I was since I was like 19.
Oh yeah, what happened?
I like my back in like late 2022.
Did you get into pills?
What kind of pills?
Oh, you know the good ones, the best ones, dude. The ones they give you when your back hurts.
Someone said he's shopping in the wrong store. He's looking medium in Texas.
Yeah, I really for real. Walmart, when I hit the Walmarts in Oklahoma, that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
There was so many beautiful options for me there, dude.
Yeah. And better soda options in general. Those guys are living those guys are living life, dude. They're living a much better life than we are. You guys want to see something though?
Yes.
Stavros, we need to hear your opinion on this.
Okay.
I brought forward my Jewish representative and also my Greek representative to address this very delicate matter.
Oh hell yeah! I already like what I'm seeing.
The time I mistakenly thought the flag for Greek was Israel.
Where was this?
And I'm about to come back and put Free Palestine too.
This is a tough look.
Oh my God. You know damn well there's a genocide. You know there's a genocide.
They're like, we are very anti-Semitic. What are you talking about? We want anything bad happen to them. Leave my flag alone. How dare you say this? We are somehow both Zionists and anti-Semites.
Zionism.
No, Greeks are Zionists.
I don't support it. There's a genocide. You know that, right?
We don't know what is going on, but we don't like them. I don't read the news, but
Have we not suffered enough under Muslims? It's happening again.
Come on, our country was ruined by loans. Do you think that they thought that she was like
they had no idea.
Were they like, is this like a random black lady who's a Turkish nationalist?
It's possible.
Because
Eric Adams
if they're talking
strikes
about
back.
like a genocide that Greek did, like in their mind, she's talking about a genocide that Greece did. It would be like, what? Like what? When we like changed a mosque into a church?
Honestly, nothing. We really don't have anything. They did the That's the colonizer right there. We are the natives.
Eric Adams officially recognizing like Cyprus as Turkish territory.
Yeah. That's a tough L for you, by the way.
For New York, I know.
Being enchanted by the telling Turkey.
So low level.
Coming back with a full head of hair.
It's so low level. It made me so embarrassed because like Israel gets to do whatever the want. They're like $20 billion of weapons now, or I will literally call you an anti-Semite and run $100 million campaign against you. Turkey's like, please, like, even if you recognize the Armenian genocide, don't say so. The mayor of New York
who has no power whatsoever. All he's gonna do is cops in the subway. All right, we'll put more Turkish cops. More Turkish cops can play Candy Crush in the subway.
The last Turkish scandal in American politics was before this was when Michael Flynn and his idiot son, they were like, okay, we'll give you $400,000 if you guys like kidnap Gulen.
Yeah.
In
a burlap sack.
He needs like a liaison in America to tell them when they're dealing with just complete morons.
Yeah.
Hiring the worst.
How I they got, what did they get out of like 80 grand worth of relief free flights is one fire inspection, which is an L for you.
He lets them operate a hookah bar in Manhattan.
Yeah, it's just like such low level shit that you got out of that. Like it was so embarrassing to see. That was a big L for Turkey, man. That's like, and they were
one of many.
They were feeding him since he was like a Brooklyn borough like council member or something. Like they were like, this is the one guy.
Yeah.
And they were big Matt Iglesias heads. They thought he was going to be president one day.
I mean,
sad, man.
I can't believe he even won. I was shocked when he won.
Yeah. Well,
he did like just barely win. I think it was like less than 1% his margin.
I know. I voted for Samantha or whatever.
I can see why he won. His opposition was very confused.
Yeah.
I wrote in the slutty one from Sex and the City.
Yeah, he already. Oh, Samantha from Sex and the City.
No. I couldn't remember which one was running. And I was like, all right, put the one that sucked the most.
Oh no, dude! Oh my God, he meant Cynthia Nixon.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, which is not Samantha on Sex and the City. Oh my God. Okay, look, let's finish this off. I know this was traumatic for you.
I'm gonna need. You didn't even give me a.
I know.
Trigger warning.
You're masking your tears with laughter. This is.
You proud of your heritage? Y'all understand there's a genocide, right?
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, this guy's incredible. This guy's awesome.
I love.
thought he was saying. We don't know. We don't watch news.
All my great uncles were forced to be Turkish. What are you talking about? Oh my God, dude.
I know, dude. This poor guy.
No.
I just have no idea what he's getting at whatsoever.
Oh, this just keeps getting better. It's like a minute and 34. I'm like, where is this gonna go? And it just keeps getting funnier.
She posted it like, whoopsie, yeah. Insane how desperate people are for content.
I've survived worse.
I think that's it. You dumb. In the wrong country completely.
I think that's the thing with like people who are like under like 28 now. They will post like the worst, most embarrassing, like just no defense for it type thing.
Yeah. Just be like, that's life. That's what it is.
I think it's because it's like they have no concept of a world where like, you know, everyone doesn't know all your secrets and the most embarrassing thing you ever did, and that if they
put an Opticon, that big shit,
not
dude.
just that, but
big
like,
eye in the sky.
Not just that, but they think like, okay, like any completely humiliating thing like this, if I can put it in front of a crowd and at least some people go, I could see how you could think that. That's like exaggerating. They want like the audience to absolve them.
Interesting. But all she's looking for is people being like, LOL. Hey, happens to the best of us, sis. Even though that'll be like 4% of the people that say that, and they're like, show this to your friend. Text your group chat. Damn, I picked the wrong blue and white flag.
I would only tell.
Cross on it.
Yeah. That's right. I didn't even think of that.
Maybe she thought, oh my God, they finally got a Messiah. Stronger than ever.
Oh, I gotta do this now. Before he gets all his power.
Before they massacre the red cow. She's really tuned in. No, she was actually yelling at the Israelis for appropriating gyros.
You know it would be so bad.
Not your cuisine.
Yeah. You gotta make the pork.
Oh.
You understand, right? It's nothing against people who are Jewish, but this is not okay.
What, the Jews? Do not call me Jew!
That was the most they were They were like, what? How dare you? He's about to pull out his uncircumcised dick. Does this look Jewish to you, sweetheart?
Oh, no. That's awesome.
He's showing all the overdraft fees that he's gotten.
Oh, no.
I have a $8,000 a month car payment.
What?
Wait. What did he say? Oh, hold on.
Okay. Who's this?
This is Greeky.
What?
What's up?
Is that guy?
Oh,
Fresh
no,
Mac.
Israel. My bad. Really?
Oh, man.
My bad.
That's
man.
awesome.
Dude, my bad getting a lot of mileage lately.
Some are calling it the best apology.
It kind of is, though. It's like, I feel like it's more heartfelt than like writing a PR message and be like, my bad.
But you could hear it. You could hear she is embarrassed.
Yeah, I like all the PR messages that people do in like 2019 and 2020 where they're like, there are many communities in the world and I am a part of a community.
Yes. I did bodies
I'm
in
a
spaces.
sister. I'm a mother.
Yeah.
I'm a part of the global family.
Crimes against women are particularly tough for me because my mother is a woman. That, like, my bad is much more authentic.
For real.
Straight to the note. Straight to the point.
For real.
Oh, shit,
Did you put it back up at least? Or?
Wow, you really worried about that?
I am. These people.
Look, it looks like.
Wait, what the? No, this isn't real. No way.
Somebody just put the.
No, this got to be like one of those like fake accounts or some.
They know what they're doing. Santorini will be free there. You know, he knows what he's.
Yeah, he's gonna invade Greece, bro. What do you mean?
Not try us, brother.
You seem less worried about this.
Greece has newer F-16s than Israel's F-16s.
Oh hell yeah! You don't
even bring this up. Don't even bring up Greek fighter jets.
I'm ready to go, dude.
Don't even bring up Greek fighter jets.
I'm enlisting.
What Greece is
bazooka?
Yeah. What Greece is allowed to have in terms of anti-defense, anti-aircraft missile systems, and what Turkey is allowed to have are two different things.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
both
can't
are
be
NATO.
trusted.
Yeah,
you can't be trusted with that shit.
Yeah, ours is newer. That's why they won't let you. They won't let us have it.
Dude, the thing is, we're only when we're needed, when we need to, will we respond.
Oh my
this gentleman here,
God.
Okay, so I just finished a conversation with this gentleman here. You may recognize the one and only.
He looks little in that chair.
Oh my God.
This is
47.
Dude, this is Dawn too. Like, he's doing everyone's pot. It's crazy. It's not even like, it's kind of strange now. Like, at this point, I know people that like wouldn't have him on their podcast, not for political reasons, but because they're like, it's been done. Legitimately, I've had those conversations with comedians. I mean, I obviously am begging him to come on.
Bro, yeah, Kamala Harris has to go on Chavo.
I'm gonna put them together. I'm gonna do a Kush Brothers with Donald Trump. I'm gonna get him stoned for the first time in his life. So we're gonna go.
Could you imagine what
that'd be awesome.
If he would probably have the thing that happens with people that like never smoke weed, where they get like super self-conscious.
Yeah. Like, nobody likes me.
Yeah,
it's insane that he's doing the podcast rounds. Dude, our society is so.
Yeah.
Someday a president is gonna come on this dumbass stream, and then we're.
Well, I mean, two people that were running for president have been on this broadcast.
RFK Jr.
And what's her face? Crystal Mommy.
Oh, really? You had
Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, but you were just trying to smash. You just used.
Okay, that's neither here nor there. Which, by the way, I called her Crystal Mommy to her face, and she got very mad at me. And then, like a couple months ago, or like a month ago, she was talking about how Haitians do voodoo, and so Trump is actually right. Which is
I love when
crazy.
someone believes something that stupid that it's like, all right, I hate to give them credit. They are doing blood spells. They might have been trying to make a team and needed feline quickness, so they sacrificed a cat. They weren't eating it. He was wrong about that, but they were killing. Like if she was doing some shit like that.
I love when an adult who's like running for president is like, okay, actually, I've talked to a bunch of sorcerers I know.
Yeah, like I'm running on the campaign of magic is real.
Yeah.
That's insane. Except that part of effective broken that like that could get you like a reasonable constituency.
That's probably the biggest bump she got.
Anyway,
It's like it's real. Okay, well, you want it back?
Keep it up, lad. Objective Charlie is compromised.
you want it back? No, you can keep it. What do you mean?
Why is it already?
Is she like tangled up in the flag?
Straight down.
I still can't get over why she would post that, but I think you're right, Felix. No change. It's a generational thing.
I see that, you know, all those like accounts where it's like, I'm a Zoomer for Biden, and they have like mysteriously all have 170,000 followers. Not that I'm saying they're AstroTurf, but they all lead like AstroTurf organizations called like Marching Forward and America Tomorrow.
The most like swagless version of like what's left over of Obama, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
All those kids will post like the most humiliating. Like I saw one of those guys post a message that's like, I just texted a girl who said 3 years ago that she wishes we met later in life. And he's texting her and he's like, so it's 5 years later, and she's like, actually, I'm married in Paris with twins. Why can't this just be like something that only you knew about?
Why can't this be the thing you think about when you put the gun in your mouth? That should be a memory that's triggered by cold steel on your tongue. Something you post on the
We're losing it.
Those little moments in your life. Those are only you and like maybe your closest friends are supposed to know about them.
Yes.
And they're like the reason.
That's the reason you pretend you love politics, so you can forget about how much you don't get. All those kids do that. Everyone that I went that was like a politics kid just was like putting all their energy, and that goes for a lot of other shit, right? Like I didn't get any pussy. I was like into, I don't even know what it was. I guess I was kind of trying to go to college or whatever. But you know what I mean? That's what your hobbies are about. Yeah. Why would you care? Why would you use the platform you made from your bullshit hobby to expose how much of a loser you are? It's supposed to be camouflage for how much of a loser you are.
I don't understand posting your L like that. I just don't get it. Especially because like everyone has a hater. You know what I mean? I would never want to give them an opportunity to posture.
Like I guess on some level,
I never take L's, so that's the other reason.
I guess on some, well, you're circumcised. Remember that? That's a big L.
Dude.
From
God, listen, we're Cirque brothers, okay?
It works. It actually makes it bigger.
Yeah, it's better.
I've tested both and wind tunnels, and guess which one is faster?
Securing objective Bravo.
I guess on some level, maybe I respect the openness, but there's certain things that should be just in the deep pit of your soul.
That's the thing, is that like kids that young aren't like I think we're the cutoff where you understand that even with like the improvisation of everything and everyone like just exposing all their innermost secrets, that it's important to have like things that are just for you that the world does not know.
Right.
But people who are brought up, they literally do not remember a world that was not like this.
Yeah, true.
They don't have that.
Damn, that kind of sucks. I was always part of me was always hoping there'd be like a generation of kids that was like, you know what, I'm gonna go live in the woods or something. And it just doesn't seem like that's gonna happen.
I think there's some kids that there are those, but there's never like it's either that or just the default, which is no secrets, no private moments.
That's dumb, dude.
It is sad.
They're getting us ready for spying on us nonstop. The same way that deodorant when you rub it on your dick and pussy. You know how every deodorant now they're like, you can rub it on your feet. They're getting us ready for them. That's what that deodorant.
That's why celebrities are like always like, I'm out.
Yes.
Maybe.
They're preparing us for no water and cameras everywhere, dude.
Wow, we already have cameras everywhere. So I also wanted to show you guys this before we get into Kamala's chances and do serious political commentary. Now that we have real serious political commentator, I love OSINT Twitter because like this person posted this unironically. Pro-Palestinian protesters are the absolute worst. They're now targeting attendees at a weapons expo with their harassment. This just makes everyone hate your cause even more. God, pathetic.
I love that. Like
the baby-seeking missile. They tried to stop me from selling a baby-seeking missile.
By the way, didn't France like disinvite Israel from their weapons expo? Which I always think is like kind of funny. They're like, listen, Israel, you can't show up this year. Okay.
This is for Muslims protesting the headscarf ban.
Give me the dışarıda.
I love the idea. Like you'll see in this video, all the guys in here, they look like, you know, in the movie Click when Adam Sandler sees older versions of himself. That's this for me. Like all these guys in the video are me, plus 30 to 40 years. All of the original Jewish guys. But like the idea that like all these guys were like, well, I was gonna like join the encampment at Columbia, but now you're yelling at me.
Yes,
like all these 63-year-old weapons executives.
Sir, we're looking for the baby killing technology. Do you know where we can heat up the baby killer?
He's like, not me, dog. Yeah, no. That's his
That's a great look, too.
Oh my god.
The latest baby killing.
He has the worst haircut I've ever seen. That's like the haircut you get when they shave your head in prison. And you're in solitary for 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
you have the latest baby killing technology, sir?
God damn.
We're trying to shred babies. You guys have the baby shredding tech? Baby shredding tech? You have the baby shredding tech?
Very scary.
Excuse me, guys. We're looking for the baby killing technology. Do you have it? Sir, baby killing tech, we want to shred babies to bits. Can you help us?
Jesus Christ.
I can't believe I can't believe that he's harassing.
Can you believe it?
These baby murdering weapons manufacturers. Like, it's really.
The weapons manufacturers can't have some, just be amongst themselves to discuss more and more lethal ways to murder civilians. What kind of society do you have?
I don't want to live in a society like that.
Yeah, and like all these guys are sympathetic to Palestine. Like this is just alienating them from the cause.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What